Welcome to the Still Strong podcast. Here we talk about unfading strength, tested by life, forged through faith, and proven over time. All right. Morgan Wright,
That's what's going on, Keith.
welcome to the podcast.
Oh man, hanging out with the big dog again.
I've been looking forward to this one all week and excited but a little nervous.
I mean, rightly so, rightly so. I mean, I groomed for this.
Did you?
I waxed.
Well, Morgan, I'm going to give you this proper introduction, but it seems to be the format for before I give the introduction for me to give my own personal take on someone. Um, yeah. So it showed up on my Facebook feed about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I was 42 or 43. I just turned 50. I was wanting to step up my fitness. I felt like I had plateaued. I was wanting to step up my fitness, and I got lost in all the programs and stuff out there. Like when you go do a Google search, I got lost. And so I just put on Facebook, hey, here, I'm this old. I want to progress. Help. And a mutual friend put me in contact with you.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
You came over and worked out with me in my barn. You come over and work out. And what I learned from you and appreciated from you, and I didn't appreciate at the time. At the time, I was wanting a strict program.
Yep.
Boom, boom. I was wanting strict. You weren't giving me that.
Nope.
And I didn't. It took me several months to appreciate what you're doing. But you said, hey, we're gonna do this the rest of our life. Don't be so strict. Hey, what doesn't hurt today? Make it hurt.
Yeah.
You did full body stuff, jumping lunges. Here I thought I was strong, did jumping lunges, and you're cranking them out and I'm dying. Burpees, deadlifts for time.
Yeah.
Like you made it fun and I was getting stronger. So I'm running, we're sprinting, we're doing this heavy lifting, and you made it feel like, hey, it doesn't necessarily have to be so regimented. Just do something.
And it sticks.
And it does stick because that helped me and it helps me today.
Men, we're taught to live our lives by structure, by a code. I mean, we look at the Ten Commandments, everything. We need things in black and white. That's what we do. Man see, man do. And when it comes to our bodies, though, you know, we need to listen to ourselves because, like you said, we do this our whole lives. And when you stop chasing the numbers, you start listening to yourself, listening to your body. You know, I haven't seen you in over a year, and I walked up today, and I'm like, man, you have great, your posture's never been better. Your shoulders looking great. You know, you look happy. You know, it's like when you can just the gym and fitness is supposed to be, you know, our man space. You know, where we're making a positive change and building our bodies. We're being stronger to be able to provide and protect for our families. And if we can't make that fun, if something's not inherently fun, we have to fuel it through discipline only, and then we just eventually it becomes less important. When we look forward to it, we keep at it.
You unlocked something in my brain back then. The other thing you unlocked for me was you're just a year or so older than I am. Um, I had this mindset that once you hit 40ish, there's certain things you're not supposed to be doing anymore just because of the people around me I'm watching. You broke that for me because you were about a year older than me and you're pushing boundaries. You're doing things that I didn't think, are we allowed to do this? Are we too old to be doing this? And to be honest with you, you unlocked something in my brain, and I can tell you at 50 years old, I am the strongest I've ever been.
Yep.
I have the most endurance I've ever had. And you talk about mindset. If my mindset hadn't been changed, I would be on a decline because you're supposed to be getting old.
You're supposed to take it easy. We don't do that these days. That's a young man's game.
Yeah. You helped me, man. Back then you helped me. I wanted to communicate that to you as I was thinking last night of you being here. I'm just remembering these things, and I'm thankful you came across my path. I'm thankful that we're friends. I'm thankful that you're here.
Me too, buddy.
So,
You know, it's there's something that I wanted to talk to you about is something I learned the hard way is we talk about men bonding, uh, you know, keeping that guy tribe around. I had a real hard time from 45 to 50. I lost the majority of my male friends
Mm.
They stop being men, Keith. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but they were ready to grow old mentally. They stopped wanting to do stuff. They just wanted to sit down, and now their Saturday was busy yelling at a TV because some 19-year-old dropped a football, or rather than go play a sport, they're going to watch it. They or they would just do dumb stuff like, "Hey, I'm going to tell my girl I'm with you Tuesday." No, what? No, we just had dinner together 3 weeks ago. I'm not your cover. Or I left a couple of my guy chat groups because they would be sending pictures of women out in public unsolicited. And I had one friend, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm like, he has a very professional job. He's happily married with 2 daughters. I'm like, you just sent a picture of some girl in her yoga pants in a coffee shop to a group chat unsolicited. You would lose your everything
Mm.
if somebody saw your chat. And they just stop. Or one of my male friends, he's like, "Yeah, man, I'll meet you out. I don't really want you coming over because then my wife yells at me because she says I'm getting out of shape. Why don't I go to the gym with
Oh,
Morgan?" And I'm like, why don't you? I'd love to have you be here. Come hang out. We have a great time. And and it just the men that stay in your life when it becomes harder to
mm.
continue to be a man, either mentally, physically, or emotionally, those are the ones that stick around. So, like, you and I can see each other day to day. I can see you in a month. I can see you in a year. I'm still the exact same level of Jack Russell, excited to see you. Like, what's up, buddy? Let me see the big dog on the porch.
Yeah.
And I always get real excited anytime I get to hang out with you.
This is gonna be a good show because you just hit a bunch of stuff that we could start talking on now. So this is gonna be a good one, man. I'm glad you're here. This is
Me
meant.
too,
This is
buddy.
meant to be. Let me give you your proper introduction, and we're gonna rock and roll with this.
All right.
So Morgan Wright, uh, 14-year Army vet, 16 months in Afghanistan. Physical education teacher, 21 years.
Yes, sir.
Man, we got a lot of good stuff here to talk about. Golden Apple recipient.
First PE teacher to ever receive it. I was like, for my people.
Yeah. Teacher of the year, 4 years.
Yeah, four different times PE teacher of the year, and uh, yeah.
The one that everybody probably knows you about, the Moose.
five
Ninja Warrior, 5 seasons.
five separate times I've hit that stage for American Ninja Warrior. I'm like the world's okayest ninja, but I did just good enough. I ended up being a fan favorite. They keep bringing me back.
Good. What I like about you is, and that's why I put that one towards the bottom, because that doesn't define you. That's not who you are.
Thank you, sir.
I think what defines you is you're a father of 2 children.
I love my babies.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to leave a legacy. The best legacy you can leave is a future generation that's going to continue to do positive things for the world around them.
I know your kids are your motivation. You and I have had conversations.
Yeah.
You're a good dad.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate hearing that.
And then last of all, you're gonna hear some things about this man right here. This man is 51 years old. All right, keep that in mind. 51
I'm feeling
years
it this
old.
morning, but we'll talk about that later.
51 years old and still getting after it. Still strong.
Yes, sir.
So Morgan, everybody gets a gift. I don't know if you've seen the show yet, but we got these Richardson 112s. When you're working out or whatever you're doing, when you're making your kids in elementary PE do burpees. All right.
Oh,
My
I'm
kids
excited.
say
That's
the
a nice hat.
Richardson 112s are the best. So anyway,
That's hot. I mean, I later on, I did my hair.
Yeah.
I'm be on camera, but I'm
Yeah. So I don't prepare too much for these because I feel like if I prepare too much, I stick with the notes, and I want to be organic. I want to be real.
all right.
I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about this, and I had a memory. So a few years ago, I was in Michigan. I had an uncle that had cancer and died of cancer. My mom was spending time with him in his last days, and my dad and I were giving them their time. And so my dad and I were just riding around the old neighborhood that he grew up in. And I learned a lot about my dad at 40 something years old I didn't know about. So we just drove by and said, Keith, there's where I went to high school. Here's some things that happened. And we would just rode around the neighborhood. Some places, Morgan, we stopped. We pulled up in the driveway, put in park, turned the key off. And he talked about what life was like at this house. So I kind of want to do that same feeling with you. Let's hop in the car. I want to start from the beginning. Let's just take a ride. Like, how you grew up. Just hit those little things. Maybe we put the car in park and we can park there for a little while. But I want to get to know the man today. How did you get to be where you're at? The things that shaped you, the influence on your life early, like all that good stuff. So let's just buckle up and just take me for a little ride.
All right. You know what? I'll start off. You know, I grew up. My parents, my mom and my dad, were some of the biggest influences I've had in my life. Uh, we joke about it when I say, "Oh, my parents were hippies," but like they were like that true organic, love the earth, love everybody, you know, be kind, uh, and at the time I didn't realize that money was super tight.
Mm.
I remember, my dad and my mom that they would do things in a way that had never occurred to me. My dad would be like, "Hey, son, I've got this magic powder. If you put it in a jug and you shake it real hard with water, it turns into milk." I'm like, "You're a wizard, Harry." And then my mom, she'd be like, "Hey, we're going to go to this place. And you know what? If you wait in this line, they're going to give you free Velveeta." And I'm like, I love cheese,
Mm.
and when I say my parents are hippies, like my middle name is Sunstar, and I'm not part Indian. Now, for those of you at home, let that clock in. When I get off the cattle car for boot camp, and I see the drill sergeant like Morgan, Sunstar, where you at, boy? We're gonna be friends. And I was so sheltered growing up that they called up and they're yelling at me. "So, were your parents hippies?" "Yes, drill sergeant." "Are you a hippie?" "I don't think so, drill sergeant." "Do they smoke the funny weed?" "Probably, drill sergeant." "Do you?" "No, drill sergeant." Well, okay then, private.
That's funny.
Like, I mean, but they taught me a lot about being empathetic,
Mm.
caring, nurturing. Both parents worked real hard, so I never had some preconceived notion that men were supposed to do that, women were supposed to do this. Like, if something needed doing, you just did it.
You just
Like,
did.
I'd be helping my dad, fix things around the yard, helping my mom sew stuff and plant gardens, and then
Were you an only child? Did you have
I was an
siblings?
only child. I was supposed to have a younger sister, but it did not come to full term.
Got it.
And but yeah, it was like it wasn't until boot camp, my first Father's Day. When it was a couple days before Father's Day, I had my little Father's Day card. I'm putting it in the mail. I'm like, talking to the other soldier. "Hey, don't forget you got Father's Day coming up." And they're like, "Ah, man, f that guy," or "I don't know who my dad is." I was like, my whole world got just shocked. You think I'd learn? Mother's Day did the same thing. I'm like, wait, you guys don't love your mom? Like, I'd be on the payphone. "Oh, it's all Private Wright calling his mom." I'm like, I love my mom. Don't you love yours?
Mm.
And it never dawned on me that they were trying to tease me. Like, it didn't click in my brain. I thought they were just having a conversation,
Uh-huh.
and it was like not till years later that I was like, "Oh, they're trying to tease me. I don't care." But I mean, I'm 51. I'll still hold my mom's hand walking through the mall. It's mom. I still call my dad probably about every 2 or 3 days. We chat, have lunch about once, twice a month.
Good.
It's like,
How old's your dad now?
I think he's 75, 76. It might be 76. Yeah, 76 now.
Mm.
He's one of those. He's like us. He just motors around still. He doesn't get old just because the numbers on the calendar says he is.
Right.
But there's a difference. We respect the number, but it doesn't define us.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You have those people. Age is just a number. Try being a counterpuncture as a boxer,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're a counterpuncher and you get old, you become an average boxer with bad head movement. I see you throwing that overhand right, and I should move, but instead it hits me right in my eyeball because my reaction speed does diminish. But I'll still go scrap a little bit, still go box, still run some rounds with grappling. But as long as you respect it, but don't let it define you, it really pays off.
So, those early school years, you're a PE teacher. So,
Yes, sir.
what was school like for you? I know certain things about you, so I don't want to try to fill those gaps of things that I know. I'm trying to let you paint the picture because
Going to
was school
school or
like?
being a teacher?
What was school like for you going to school as a
Going to
kid?
school was it was interesting. Loved elementary school because what happened, uh, when you don't have any money and your dad's a teacher, you go to school with him.
Okay, so I didn't know that. Your dad was a teacher.
Yeah, my dad, Ken Wright, part of the first original 6 teachers to receive Golden Apple, the very first group.
Okay, so let's slow down a little bit. Okay, we kind of skipped over that kind of stuff because one of my questions is going to be what was some of the big influence that shaped you and what you are?
Oh
Sounds
yeah,
like did your dad have a big play in that?
it he did watching him teach because he was he was doing stuff that teachers now do because they're like, oh, this is great. He was bringing his guitar, his harmonica, his piano, and he putting learning to music. He was teaching fifth
Wow.
grade in East Fort Myers, which is people consider it, oh, it's a rundown or migrant area. And he's like, I love it. He's like, everyone values education here because they realize education takes you out of poverty. It gives you it makes you the best overall equipped to move up and ahead in life. It, I mean, he was in fifth grade. He would have his students. He would dress up as characters from American history. He came out as Abraham Lincoln, and the kids were having Gettysburg Address recitals. Like they would
Wow.
stand up and recite it from memory.
Wow.
And uh, and I'll never forget too. I remember watching him on TV receive Golden Apple, and you got like a prize check to go with it. They gave you some cash to go with it,
Okay.
and I was like, oh, Dad, does that mean you're going to change schools now? And he's like, why would I do that?
Wow.
I make more of a difference here, son.
Wow.
And,
That's
and
good, dude.
it
That's
was
good.
well, and with him being a teacher, I was at school about an hour early every day. I would go to the library and I would just read.
Wow.
So that's why you see me, I'm so loquacious. My vernacular and vocabulary,
Yeah.
has just jumped through the roof because when you start reading early on, and I know a lot of parents do this these days, but if you're home and you got kids, put the closed caption on the TV at all times. That way they're reading the words while they're
Mm.
watching their shows. Technology and typing is the cursive writing of the future. People are like, oh, bring back cursive. Okay, let me go churn my own butter there too, Todd.
Right.
But learning what the new technology is what means going. I'll segue. I use, me. I had a cup of coffee. I'll
No,
talk
we're
all
good.
day.
Another question. Was your dad ever your teacher?
Not allowed to be.
Oh, you're not
Cannot
allowed to
cannot.
be.
Yeah. You can't be. Now it does now like for large group sports like for PE. I was my son's PE teacher, but for his grade level, I had 120 other kids.
Got it.
So there's a difference. But I couldn't. You can't be their classroom teacher.
Got it.
It's like, yeah, they're pretty strict about it for obvious reasons. Like,
So, are you a teacher because of your dad's influence? Looking back now.
this is gonna sound super silly. Yes, just watching his success, watching how happy he was, watching how he influenced others positively. But one of the biggest things that always stuck with me, I'm gonna put the car in park real quick. That Tice Elementary is a small school, but it has a very fiercely tight knit community of teachers and parents. And I think I was like 7 years old, and I think it was the art teacher had a Halloween party at her house, and like it was like hundreds of people. There was a lady doing fortune teller cards, and I'm like, all right, that looks cool. And I sat down, and she's like, oh, all right, what do you want to know? I want to what do you think I'm going to be when I grow up?
Mm.
And she's like, well, what do you want to be? And I said, well, I want to be an army man. I want to be a ninja because I was dressed up as a ninja, of course. And I said, and I want to, and I want to be a teacher like my dad.
Wow.
And I don't know what she did with cards. And then she pulled the king card, and she got real quiet. She's like, that's weird. She's like, normally it kind of gives you a path. And said, but for some reason it says you're going to be pretty good at all these things.
Yeah.
And so here I am now, years later. I'm a decorated, military veteran. I'm a decorated school teacher. I'm a decorated ninja. I'm a Las Vegas finalist. So it's like, I thought I'd be the cool ninja that like flipped around and jumped through trees, but climbing stuff's pretty cool too, though. So
That's good. It's funny you talked about your perspective of your dad,
yeah,
that teaching wasn't just a job for him, like he went above and beyond.
yeah,
He influenced people. I look at some of your social media stuff when you post it, and I read the comments and all these people that you've influenced, these kids that you've influenced, even adults that Mr. Wright that you've influenced. And I remember my kindergarten teacher. She had a big influence on me. Didn't realize it at the time, but I remember everything about her.
good,
And I think the reason, but there's other teachers early on that I don't remember that much. But I think the reason why I remember her is because I think she loved what she was doing, and I think she wanted to make a difference in my life. I think she invested in me personally.
Yeah.
And a kid can tell the difference between someone who's there and wants to be there and wants to shape, and someone who's just there to get a paycheck and to do their job.
Yes.
You are the first. You are an influencer. You want to be there, and you can tell by the comments stuff that I read. You have an impact on people, and kids can tell the difference. Listen,
Yes.
kids are good readers. Kids can read into people really well.
Yeah. I yes. And people who will try to lie or smooth something over with children sense that.
They do.
And it's never I've never understood why. I'm like, be honest. I might use kid friendly language, but I do my best to be honest. I mean, I had I mean, we'll talk about it later, but I had a heart attack a couple years ago, uh, from genetics, and my memory got a little spotty. I used to know about half my kids' names. Out of 1,100 kids, I could name about half of them.
That's pretty
Now,
good.
now I know about 30 of them by name. I know their face. But names slip. Like I'll look at somebody I've been friends with for 5, 10 years and be like, and instead of faking it, I tell my kids, I'm like, listen, I had a medical event. I said my memory is spotty. I said the chances of me being able to remember names now is really low. I said, please don't let that offend you. I said it's a medical issue on me. I know your face. I love all of you, and they love it. They're like, oh, thanks for letting me know. And they'll come up to me, hey coach, it's Aubrey. Hey, da da da. And I'm like,
Oh,
thank you. Like they'll volunteer their names. They'll see me in public. They run up to me, coach, it's Tim. I'm like, hey, what's up, Tim? And the amount of kids that I have come back to me year after year after year. Now some of them, hey coach, remember me? No, dude, you're 6'2" and you have a mustache. I have no idea who you are. You started from the bottom and now you're here.
yeah.
But
As
it's
you're
very telling.
as you're talking, I had a thought. Um, I feel like to be a pastor, you need to be called. Not anybody's meant to be a pastor.
Yeah.
Because that burden you carry. First responders, I feel like is a calling.
Yeah.
Teachers for sure has to be a
Gotta
calling.
be.
Has to be a calling. And like we just said, a kid can tell when it's not. When it's just this is my job. You're clocking in and clocking out. A kid can tell. Having said that, when it comes to what we're supposed to do in life, man, how good does it feel when you found your purpose and you're just doing what you love and it's not a job? A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people have, I'm supposed to do this. This is the route I'm supposed to take. I'm supposed to be, responsible and just get locked into this job. And they almost panic when they just slow down a little bit. If that's what you're meant to do, then great. But if that's not what you're meant to do, it's not going to feel right, and it's not going to fit right, and it's not going to come across organic. I found my purpose, man. Like the work that I do is hard work, but I love it. It's what I was built for. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
see the same thing in you. The work that you do, listen, can I just say this? Hanging around a bunch of kids like that all day long, I ain't built for that, man. And no amount of money would make it like uptick it. You follow me?
Oh,
But
listen,
we're all
yeah.
built. We're all built for different things in life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm so glad that you're built for that because you're having an influence on kids, and it matters.
Thank you. And that's exactly it. It's I kind of learned early on that I didn't want to do something that I didn't want to do. We spend the majority of our day, or at least a solid amount of it, having to do something to put groceries on the table and a roof over our heads. And if it didn't make logical sense to find something, that I'm like, I'm gonna hate this for 8 hours so I can enjoy this for 6 hours before I go to bed.
You're
And
right.
the math wasn't mathing. And don't get me wrong. I mean, every now and then, some days a job is still a job. I don't know if you know this. Florida's hot, brother. And when I first started teaching PE, it was 87 degrees out. First couple years. The last 3 years in a row, the first day of school, it's been 94 degrees 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And
It's probably what's keeping you young.
man, well, it turns out melanoma's not that sexy. So I look like a homeless roofer at work. I got sweats. I've got a long sleeve shirt. I've got my gardening hat on. I don't even garden. I mean, I'm a gardener of kids. You got the zinc oxide thing. I'm like human ceviche, just cooking. But, it's like they show up. I see their looks on their faces. They're excited. A lot of people remember their elementary school PE teachers because they're the fun people. I've
Right.
got dodgeball, scooters, parachutes, and yeah, yes, I still teach dodgeball. I did. The thing is, people always say, "Well, I had childhood trauma with the red rubber ball. You should too." Thing is, though, I want inclusive play.
Mm.
So I made two small changes. As silly as it sounds, growth also adds to changes, which moves on to later in life. I made it so you can't catch a ball to get somebody out, and a headshot doesn't count, or even puts you out,
Mm.
because I did not want my undersized kids to be too scared to throw the ball.
Sure.
The whole point of dodgeball, overhand throwing mechanics. Kids don't climb trees anymore. Kids don't they don't really throw a ball anymore. It's like those days, and I'm not blaming a child. The people these days, oh, I can't believe kids these days. You're the one raising them.
Mm.
You're the one that put the tablet in his hand, and kept him from going outside. You're the one that's too busy to go play outside with your boy or your girl. You've met my daughter. My daughter's solid. Like she's got good hands. She's got a good wrestling game. She's very athletic. My son, he's pretty, but no, I'm teasing him. No, they're both very athletic. They're strong. He goes to the gym now for quite often. It's like it's all about finding that path where you make it fun, and then the fun comes back to you.
Let's I want to stay right here for a second,
Mm.
and then we're gonna hop back in the car and go back to maybe school years and move along.
All right.
But um those motor skills, even when a baby, a baby learning how to roll over and do these certain movements.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're learning how important that is. Movement is important in learning. PE as a kid, I thought PE was a break from the important stuff.
No.
Okay, so movement, um, like you said, climbing, all this kind of stuff. This is your job. Can you just speak to the importance of being active, moving? Like what happens in the body when we're doing something motor skill wise and doing something else? This is your wheelhouse.
It is.
Let's
So
let's, let's talk about it and talk about the importance of it.
the body adapts to what you do and don't do. That's why you with how we talked about working out when I first helped you change your mindset.
Yeah.
If you did set reps, set exercises, set fitness things, that's what your body gets good at. But your body is not good at overall health. You've created a series of movements that you've gotten used to going through. A strong mind requires a strong body in this day and age. Okay, you can be you a lot of people either want to be mentally resilient or physically tough, but they never correlate the two together.
Okay.
And that's such an inherent life skill. Uh, just movement. It's like if I have friends, they'll be at the gym at 4 a.m. They're at work by 5:30, and they're sedentary for the rest of the day. That's not overall body health. It's lubricating your joints, getting up, being active. I wear a weight. I have a 20-pound weight vest. I wear at work. I just walk around it all day long. Wear a little
Mm.
20-pound weight vest. The kids tease me about it, like, "Oh, not, nice vest, coach. Thanks. I'm bringing back fashion." And but it's all about those little things that add up and just continuous movements. Uh, it's when people adopt any fitness program that somebody gets and adopts, they're going to see great results for the first 8 to 12 weeks
Mm-hmm.
because they're doing something.
Right.
It's learning how to branch off from that. Let people who do keto, they're like, "Oh, I did keto. I lost 20 pounds. Great, but what happens when you stop?" Okay, and it's not a fully an opinion based statement coming. 3, 2, 1. Not a sustainable long term goal as a nutrition thing. There's some things I like cake. Cake tastes delicious. Okay, I don't want to go through life not being able to enjoy a piece of cake, but learning how to have moderate fitness as a part of your daily lifestyle and finding a way to make it enjoyable. I can now eat some cake.
Right.
So not only did I find a way to enjoy fitness, I found out I can enjoy the tastier things in life. I don't know what you're thinking. I'm sweet enough already, but it's being able to just keep that fitness as an aspect. And once you make it part of your lifestyle, it's as easy as breathing. It's as easy as getting up and hugging your kids, kissing your wife. You're just like, it's simply what you do.
Are you teaching kids that when you're in PE? Are you downloading this to them? Say, hey, you need to hang on to this stuff because there's going to come a time in life where you're going to go to an office job. You're going to lose. Are you training them for the long haul?
I show them.
Good job.
there's you and I have talked about this before. I have a real tough time with people who do as I say, not as I do.
Mm,
Okay, and uh, no disrespect to teachers and fitness people around the world,
yeah.
but if that's your wheelhouse, you should be able to physically exemplify
Yes.
what you do.
Yes.
You know, I work hard to practice what I preach. So I can't tell a 5-year-old, hey, fitness is important. You know, you don't want to lose your mobility when you're 73, but they can see me climbing the monkey bars with them.
Good job.
They can see me. I have to teach kids how to swing now because kids don't go to the park. Parks really aren't a thing anymore.
Really?
It's they exist, but I have a lot of children. They see the swing, they see other kids on. How do I do that? They get on there, kick their legs. So I'm like, and the thing is,
Listen, that's terrible.
you would think, but that's terrible because that's what we grew up with, and now what new parents and what new children are growing up with is a whole different world. And if I focus on the negative, then that makes it harder for me to switch that over to make it a positive growth mindset.
Understood.
So I look at it, it's not good or bad, it simply is.
Mm,
So what I do is I show them, you know, I'm the world's biggest kindergartner. My name's Lando Calrissian. And I get on the swing right beside them and I put my hands up and the hands go here. I lean forward, I lean back, and they're like, got it. And then
wow.
later, you know, and they see me running around school. I am borderline obnoxious these days. When I'm teaching, I have colleagues that don't quite get it sometimes. They're like, oh, he's running around like a buffoon. You know, you jump around like a buffoon and get a golden apple. And but I have to be more interesting than TikTok. I've got to be funnier than whatever cartoon they're watching right now. Like the Fridays. On Fridays, I have choice day. A lot of PE teachers do that. I have coaches karaoke. I take my sound system. I let them play music. That K-pop Demon Hunter cartoon. It's a very positive overall, very uplifting cartoon. Very surprised by it. Movie. Kids love singing the songs, and so they wait in line. They get the microphone. They have to know the words to the song.
Yeah.
I have to be able to. It's got to be in a language I can understand. So not sneaking in any naughty stuff.
Right.
Only the lyrics, not the videos. But they get up there. They're belting out the song. I've got 30 other kids dancing around wildly to it. They're learning public speaking. They're learning, you know, the vibrance of camaraderie and groupship. They're seeing that fitness can be fun. I've got kids that just dance their butts off for 30 minutes. They're leaving in a flop sweat. They don't even realize they exercised.
I got a question for you.
So,
In this, I like what you said about, hey, it's not right or wrong, it's just different.
mm-hmm.
There seems to be a shift in smaller communities. Like the kids seem to be more isolated because of maybe not isolated with, okay, maybe they got a bunch of followers or friends on social media.
Yeah.
But that interaction, that face interaction seems to be deteriorating where kids don't get together like we used to and ride bikes and play. Maybe it's not right or wrong. It just is what it is. But what you just talked about with what you're doing, you're creating that face-to-face community.
Yes.
Learning how to interact with people, learning how to look someone in the eye and speak, learning how to not lose that skill that we were used to have.
Yeah.
And I think that PE, what you're doing, is helping with that physical interaction.
Oh, absolutely.
There's something about kids and their anxiety nowadays, being around people, and like this. There's this thing where people want to revert to their phone and just be like this.
Because you can control the narrative and the interaction on a phone.
That's the world in which we live in.
Absolutely.
We got to deal with it. But there's something about social connection that's important for our overall development.
Oh,
Speak to that for a little bit.
The power of the phone lets you control the narrative and the duration of an interaction. Okay, if I'm suddenly not liking the way a conversation is going, I can put my phone down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can't do that in face to face. I could have easily zoomed. This could have been a Zoom podcast, but I wanted to physically see you hang out. You know, like I love the farm, I love your area, your household, just the atmosphere that you have here. There's also, we used to bike to our friend's house, but now, boy, that took 15 minutes. You know, instead I can just pick up my phone and in 3 seconds I'm now talking to my friend, and now we're both jumping online to play Fortnite.
Yeah.
So I understand the allure and the power for it, and the way that parents can help bridge that gap is to create authentically fun experiences. You know,
Is that important?
it's important. It's learning PE, A well-run elementary school PE program sets the discipline tone for a school, and PE and recess is some of the most important things, uh, activities you can have in elementary, because that's the only time left that kids can genuinely socialize. Now, we used to be able, shh, hurry up, eat your breakfast. Okay, no, now it's quiet time. Now we have to do our reading. We have, you only have 25 minutes to eat your lunch. Don't talk too much.
Really?
It's like school is very rigid, and I do not blame the teachers, because teaching is the only profession where we are governed by non-educators. Think of, we don't have, Bob the professional painter sitting on the bar exam judging lawyers. Okay, it's like teachers. We have politicians in charge of teaching. We have Ms. McMahon's wife running the Federal Department of Education. Okay, her kids went to private school. I mean, so it's like, one of the greatest sins we've done as Americans is taking away the perceived value of education. I have never had I will never have a problem with my tax money going to education. I don't want to go up around dumb people. It's like, and on the other hand too, we were talking about this earlier. I'm segueing for just a brief second. We were talking about school lunches. If the government says my kid's got to be somewhere for 8 hours, the government should feed them. But don't feed them what we're feeding them right now. Good gravy.
Okay, so hold on a minute. Let's talk about what are we feeding them right now, and why is it not good?
So here's the thing. A lot of people, not to be too political, but I remember when Michelle Obama did her healthy, food initiative. Here's the thing. Anytime, and I agreed with it too. On paper, it really is a good thing. What people forget is the people who control the budget will always look for a way to cut costs. So you say something's got to be whole grain, they get the worst grain possible. If I make ice cream, I could make the best ice cream ever, but if I get rotten blueberries, there's only so much I can do with blueberry ice cream. Okay. It's still going to have a taste to it that's not going to be quite pleasant. And I look at we talk about investing in our children's future. That includes nutrition. It's like I got in trouble.
What are kids eating right now in school lunches?
It's they have to have like a vegetable, a grain, and a protein.
But what you're saying is they're hitting those marks. It's just not quality.
Exactly. And here's some of the stuff we have to put up with. If a child's on a free lunch, okay, because of income-driven based needs, and he's like, hey, you know what? Listen, I only want the pizza and the milk. I really don't, that broccoli, I really just don't want it. Looks, they are legally required. They have to put the broccoli on the plate just so the kid can throw it away. If the kid just wants to drink the milk today, he's got to take the whole tray.
Wow.
Or pay for the milk.
Wow.
You cannot just piecemeal a lunch. If it's a free lunch, the child should be able to pick and choose. Okay, kid's 7. At that point, he knows if he likes corn or not, or if he wants the corn dog. If he's like that, I'd prefer just to have this and this for lunch. But we can't just give him that. These are the laws that get written that a lot of parents aren't aware of.
I didn't expect to be talking about this, but like I told you, the conversation needs to be organic and it's going to go where it goes.
Yeah.
So I have a daughter-in-law that went to school to be a elementary school teacher.
Yep.
I might get this wrong. If I do, forgive me. But if she had student loans.
Yeah.
So if she taught for a certain amount of years,
10,
at a particular school, because I guess they're graded, like a particular lower tiered school.
Okay. Title I. Yeah.
She her student loans would be paid off.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how my son met her. She came here to be a teacher. She's teaching elementary school. The harder she worked for those kids, the more tasks got put on her to where they buried her. So, and she was wondering why, because other people had it figured out. The harder you work, the more they're going to put on you. So people that have been there for a while would back off, so that task wouldn't get put on them. So she's buried. She talks about school lunches, them giving them sugar and like all these high sugar things and then they're supposed to expected to sit still and be quiet. She came to the conclusion. So she came in wanting to make a difference.
Yep. That's what we all do.
In 2 years, she found out, and again, it is what it is. Okay, I'm not saying bad. It is what it is.
It just simply is.
In 2 years, she found out that the school system is not about the kids. It's about the money that flows through it, and they allocate money for other things, not the kids.
Schooling is run like a business, not a production with an end goal in sight.
So let me finish my thought,
Yeah.
because we're gonna talk about this. Parents, if you didn't know that, you know that now. When my wife, her dad passed away several years ago, and she was his advocate when he was going to the hospital, because those nurses and doctors are dealing with multiple people and maybe get something wrong. So she was his advocate. Nurse comes in with my wife, hey, what are we doing today? No, he had that yesterday. I think parents need to be advocates for their children in the school system. You follow me?
Yeah.
I feel like these poor kids, they're getting dropped off. Mom and dad are just both working, trying to make ends meet, thinking things are good. That school system is not what the school system was when we were kids.
Absolutely not.
It's something different. And I hate to say it, but this is from someone who's from the inside. You're from the inside. It's not about the kids. It's about this budget and allocating the money towards from what I've been told.
So I'm going to talk about
And
this.
we're gonna talk truth, but we're gonna talk carefully here.
Oh yeah, I'm big on facts. I tend to be very factually driven with these things because they'll say facts don't care about your feelings. Okay, that it's an inherently aggressive statement, and I never mean it that way. But I started to say something earlier. I got in trouble about 15 years ago speaking on nutrition. The chocolate milks. Okay, we grew up on those milk does a body good. Like if you didn't drink a milk, you're gonna break a bone on the way home. It's like they always made those. You need calcium for your bones. The chocolate milks usually have roughly around 25 grams of sugar in one chocolate milk. Okay, the average soda has 40. Okay, so what I did is I took a bag of those Dum Dum lollipops to the lunchroom. This was like 15 or 16 years ago. And I just sat in the lunchroom, ate my own lunch. And if a kid if they drank a white carton of milk, the regular milk, which only had 11 grams of sugar, they could come up to me, show me the empty carton. I would give them a Dum Dum lollipop. Okay. The Dum Dum lollipop only has 3 grams of sugar. So now they had 14 grams of sugar instead of 25. I just gave that kid 11 less grams of sugar than he would have had. I could have given him, 3 of those lollipops. It's still been under the sugar content.
Got it.
And I got in trouble with the nutrition department. They came and they brought me data that was trying to tell me that hyperactivity was not caused by sugar. Now, the data they gave me, though, was funded by the National Dairy Council, who makes the chocolate milk. So, as you can see, they had a vested interest in that. Now, when we talk about the school system in general, it's a real tough dichotomy because the ground troops, the teachers, the paras, the maintenance, the janitors, the cooks, they're there by and large because they care. Mm-hmm. Every now and then, there's always going to be a bad apple in every profession.
Sure.
But teaching and nursing, you tend to have people who they got into it because they authentically care. Some people burn out and they stay longer than they should. But even them, I give them some grace because even if they're burnt out, they've gotten enough professional acumen that they're still going to do their job correctly, even if their heart's no longer in it, unfortunately. Where we where we have lost our way for a while now, is running schools like a business. I now need a model. Show me your gains. Now I am for some state testing because at the end of the day, you need to perform. I don't want a mechanic who said, you know what, I'm really good. I'm just nervous on tests. I have no certifications. Okay, but I need to know that my engine is going to work.
Sure.
Okay, and same reason I could say I'm not against testing, but I still need to have a degree to be a teacher. Okay, right now, a lot of times in many, not just Lee County, but in many states, counties across the nation, teachers, especially middle school and high school, they can't give a 0. If a kid doesn't turn in an assignment, you have to mark it as a 50%. And there's two trains of thoughts on this, and I can see the merit of both. The first one is, well, that's not really relevant. That's not it doesn't match society. If I don't show up to work for one day, you're not going to give me half my paycheck still. That makes no sense. So why would I give a kid 50%? But on the other hand, if I'm teaching a high school class, I've only got 7 grades in a 9 week period. At 1-0, if one kid has one issue, misses one assignment, now he's gone from an A to a C. Okay, even if he did really well on the other assignments. So I could see merit in both. Now, what we're having to deal with now, like at Lee County, they're boasting that we have these like super high graduation rates. I was like high 80s, high 80th percentile of kids walking the stage. But and you'll see in the comments on like when the school district posts these things, people are like, okay, but how many of them are functionally literate? There is no impetus to make sure a kid can truly actually read, because the colleges, they make money on those remedial programs. Take remedial math, take remedial language arts, remedial
Oh,
English.
wow.
So they're profiting off of, because kids, what are we told? Oh, you got to go to college. You'll never make something. You never make something of yourself. College took me 7.5 years to get my 4 year degree. I'm not a doctor, and because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I was a doorman at one nightclub and a platform dancer at another.
Mm.
And clothes on. I'm too skinny to take my clothes off. But so I was just like partying, having a great time. But I couldn't figure out what I wanted. And when I finally did, it's like great, but it took me the length of time it should have taken me. We're too scared to hold kids back these days. In college, you just fail, and then you have to take it again, take it again.
There
I
you
blew
go.
through my whole GI Bill and ended up still at college. I paid off my own student loans finally, uh, but we can't keep pushing kids through the system and expect them to become productive citizens of tomorrow and the future. We are doing nobody a service, and including ourselves and our own children and our own tribe around us, because we're lessening the value education of those around us.
Do you notice that parents are beginning to awaken up to that?
Sort of. Parents have often they are pretty awake right now. Society and where the economy is, they can be aware. They can't change it,
Yeah.
because we talked about earlier. It used to be. Look at the old TV show without money, Married with Children. I mean, they had a huge house, stay at home mom, and he was a shoe salesman.
Yeah.
I mean, and those days are done. It's like you and I got lucky. We tend to, we live below our means. We manage our money wisely. People will say, oh, they need to teach finance in schools. We do. It's addition and subtraction. That's all you need to balance a checkbook and to look at your account, is knowing how to add and subtract. What we can't teach is the critical thinking. Okay, teachers now have the very unenviable task. We are now expected to parent as well as educate. And if you look, uh, litigation lawsuits, teachers are held to such a uh, unrealistic standard when people, oh, these teachers, they're grooming our kids, they're teaching them all this woke stuff. I can't get Tim to overhand throw me a ball. I can't get him to put his name on the top of the paper. I'm not. No one's brainwashing anybody. We're here because we want your kid to be a whole adult one day.
You make a good point. Thank you for bringing that up, because um, God gives children to a mom and dad.
Yeah.
It's mom and dad's responsibility to guide and direct and to create a wheelhouse. You can have your group of people to, hey, your tribe, to help raise this kid. We have school systems because mom and dad are working, but it's mom and dad's responsibility at the end of the day to make sure things are that he's being raised and well rounded, not just dropping him off, not knowing anything that's going on and just saying, well, I guess he's getting it, and not like that's our responsibility. And we've probably dropped the ball on that. Parents have probably dropped
Yeah.
the ball on that. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe it's just because, well, you mentioned the last few years inflation. We're stressed out. We're more connect with work. We're working more with emails. Like we're working more. We're stressed out, and now I gotta make sure my kid's doing everything's going good. It's like a whole nother job. But you know what? It is your job, mom, dad. You gotta figure it out.
Now, and to be fair, these parents, they a lot of times they do want to be involved, and I think the school system could be held more accountable. No elementary school child especially should go home with an hour's worth of homework.
No.
That kid's 7.
Thank you.
He should play. He should be helping out around the house, learning how to cook, learning how to clean, learning
Mm,
how to fix something, or just being a child.
just spending time with mom and dad.
Yes, and parents can do
Thanks
things
for
like,
bringing that up.
yeah, and parents can do the same thing. They can be like, you know, I understand. We all have a day we're tired. We get home, work was terrible. Life's hurting. We got another bill in the mail, but your child is still ultimately a blessing. Okay, you take
Yes.
that deep breath. Yeah, hey buddy, come. I'm gonna go fix the lawnmower. Come watch this. Hold the flashlight, but
Yeah.
don't do like our dad did. I said, hold the flashlight here. It's like, it's finding those little ways to include them, but push back. And on the other hand too, parents have a stronger voice than they realize. They can, if they start adding into the system. When they started adding politics to education, especially public education, things got a little weird. Because like everyone has ideas, and there's always going to be outliers. But the vast majority of people who choose to go into education, we chose it because that was our calling to serve. I served my country in the military, and afterwards, I was like, I still want to do good things for good people. So I was like, I want to be a teacher, but I want to be the fun guy.
Yeah.
And I love teaching kids about fitness. So, but finding those ways to do it, finding that at home, being able to find small pockets of time, small things. You set up a 15-minute window. My son and I, at the end of every night, we'd walk the dogs together before we went to bed. Okay, it would be like a 10 or 15-minute walk. We'd look at the stars, talk about trees, talk about our day. But it was like that little moment.
It's
And
important.
it's important. And what's 15 minutes?
It's important.
You know,
The times that I look back and reflect on when I was a kid, it wasn't the times that my parents were intentionally trying to make quality time. Hey, let's have some quality time. It was when we were riding to the grocery store, when we were just spending time together and we were just being. That's when a kid opens up with mom and dad. When we're just
Mhm.
right that car ride to school or to work, just being together and not trying to make a moment out of it, but just having a moment.
Yes.
That's when I would open up. But when I would say, hey, we need to, when it's too structured, you talk about too structured. Hey, we need to have a moment here.
Yeah.
Tell me your
This is our
feelings.
time.
Tell me your feelings. No kid's gonna open up to that. But the car ride to the grocery store, you know what I mean? It's just those are important.
Oh yeah, like right
And
now, my daughter Jocelyn, she's 20. Okay, she's living her own life now. She's got a good job. She lives with her boyfriend. Uh, we'll still hop online and play some video games together on voice chat.
well,
So now like we're playing video games, but we're talking about our day. We're talking about life. We found a hobby that we can bond together with. Or every now and then like we'll just go out and grab a meal. But like finding those things, and she's annoyingly good at video games too. Like I thought I was good, and I'm getting beat by my daughter now suddenly. You know, quick segue. We talked about getting old, and we talked about the physical aspect. A mental aspect that I really learned is one of the biggest ways people mentally grow old or too old is when they think somebody younger than them cannot teach them something.
mm, good point.
That's I've learned a couple of things from my daughter. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. Like new technologies come out. I teach PE. I don't need Chat GPT, but I'm getting shown things. I'm like, and we get to a certain age where we're comfortable with what we know, and it goes back to the old saying: when's the last time you did something for the first time?
Right.
I mean, I'm 51. I still went up to that EDC, Electric Daisy Carnival. It was a 3-day dance, techno, whatever music thing. Each day, me and my girlfriend, had a different silly outfit. We were Mr. and Mrs. Colonel Sanders one day. I was like, but no 50-year-old normally goes, I'm gonna go dance my booty off all night long.
Sure.
But I'm with a bunch of people that's all super happy and cheerful, and thank God it ends at midnight, not 2 a.m. because I can't be up that late. If I'm awake at 2 a.m., something's gone horribly wrong.
I want to ask you one more question in regard to education.
Please do.
Then we're going to back up to your childhood and move forward again.
Ready?
But you mentioned ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Is there coming a day when AI, like how, just from your perspective, from what you know about AI, which is probably not very much, probably more than me, how is that going to change the game of school? Are we even going to go to school anymore? Is there a need for, like, if you have this thing in your pocket, they can just tell you everything. Like, how are they talking about that in the school system with the teachers and stuff? With, like, how is that? Seems like every time you get caught up, there's another curveball coming your way.
Yeah. All right.
So
So Sarah Connor warned us about Skynet. It's like, so you're right. We have the entire universe, the whole library of humankind in our hand, and we watch funny cat videos on it. That. Now, AI is going to revolutionize the world the same way the internet did. Now, what's going to come down to it, though, is always the human component. Humans become inherently dissatisfied with what they have, and that's why technology and life continues to progress. The greatest way, the most effective, simple way teachers, especially middle and high school, can work around Chat GPT on an assignment is the day of the assignment is turned in. Okay, it's turned in. The next day, all right, Timmy, stand up. Tell me about your paper. Give me the too long didn't read version of your paper. I've got it open right here.
got it.
Go. And then you just now each kid gets 1 minute to speak authoritatively on their paper, and you don't know when. And what you do is, let's say you have a lottery system. You're like 10 kids will be randomly picked out of the 27 of you to just stand up and talk about it. Now they're reading it, and Chat GPT, the average child, even when they copy and paste it, they still read it. They're still like, I used to joke about one of my friends. He would always try to cheat during college, but he would write his notes so small, but he still spent time writing his notes.
Understood.
So by the time he went to cheat, he kind of already was recalling the answers without having to look at his cheat sheet. So there's still ways around it, and it's going to be like that throughout time. Kids are, you're a kid. Why wouldn't you try to find a way?
Is AI going to replace teachers?
I think that AI will reduce the amount of teachers. There still has to be the somebody to oversee that. Whether or not it's going to be face to face, though, is my big concern. I think that we're going to see more and more people move to homeschooling on AI led instructional blockways and chains, and that's going to continue to disassociate human interaction and connection. That is a concern for me. What does help is that we still inherently need to go out. There's still an inherent primal urge
Yes.
to want to go out and interact. We have three, but we have to eat, we have to sleep, and we have to procreate. These things are hardwired into us. We cannot fight these things.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be that urge. You have to go out because you might meet a mate on Hinge or an online dating app, but you still have to actually go out and have that first date. And the way you do that is you still have to practice human interaction.
There you go.
That's why I do think that AI is going to cause some significant changes in human behavior and how we hang out and assimilate as
Right.
just creatures. But I think that human nature is also going to bounce that out eventually. I hope.
Good thought. No, good.
Well, you got to think the positives, brother.
Yeah. That was good, man.
Thanks, man.
Talking about the school system, all that was good. So let's back up to wherever you want to. We talked about your child. We really didn't get into your childhood too much, your school years. We started talking about your dad. So is there anything in your growing up, middle school, high school years that you want to talk about, like what shaped you are today, like any stuff in that?
I got bullied, but I got bullied a fair amount in high school. Because I was built like Doogie Howser. My mouth was 6'7", and I was super witty, but so I didn't realize that that came out of my mouth, which got me punched in mine as well. And it wasn't until my senior year I started sticking up for myself, and I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to get hit no more. And I started swinging back, and I learned I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at this.
Okay, I think I know where we're going here.
Yeah, and so and also in high school, I loved volleyball. I wasn't big enough for any other sport,
Right.
and I was oh, that's a girl sport, and I'm like, I'm watching dudes playing in the
Sure,
at the Olympics
beach
right now.
volleyball, yeah.
I'm watching the volleyball movies and stuff like that. And at the time, there was no boys volleyball team, so
Got it.
that's when I started. I tend to stand up very fiercely for I won't say gender equality, but because men are men, women are women. It's like, but I like that we're now seeing where people can have the opportunities. People have their thoughts about, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about just very straight, like, my daughter, wrestling, with jiu-jitsu, or you'll see sometimes, male cheerleader, people make fun of cheerleaders. You don't realize how athletic that stuff is.
Right.
Go watch some collegiate cheerleaders. I'm like, I got some 5'8" dude named Tanner holding up a 110-pound girl with one hand. I
Wow.
can't do that.
Right.
That's strong. But yeah, no, and my I started slugging back, and then you already know I made it to the Army, the Fort Hood boxing team, back in the 1900s because I'm old.
So
But
let's talk about. So
yeah,
is that how you got into boxing? Because you're getting bullied?
yeah, and I never liked seeing people. I've always had this big thing of when somebody do something, "Oh, why are you doing it? That's not right. That's not the right answer." Like that's you're being mean, you're being unkind.
You're a defender of people.
And Lord knows I wasn't big enough,
Right.
and
That's good. Both of my daughters, both my younger daughters, they're the same. They stick up for people. They don't they don't like somebody to be picked on or mistreated, and they will speak up.
oh man,
And
yeah.
I'm proud of for that.
That is such a my and my kids as well, especially my daughter. It's such a proud papa moment too, because the biggest thing we're always worried about as we get old is one day we realize we're not molding them, we're not shaping them, we're shepherding. We're giving them advice and hoping they pick and choose what we hope they take.
That's a good analogy there. That's
It's and you have to realize that the hardest thing is letting go. When my daughter moved out, that was hard for me because I'm like, well, now what happens if something happens? I can't protect her now, but I did protect her by giving her the right mindset. When she would grow up, I would let her argue a point. I said the only rules are you're not allowed to yell at me. You can't if you can't yell, you can't curse, you can't cry. So if you do any of those three, the discussion's over, and whatever I had put forth, whatever I posited, that's the solution.
That's it.
But if she could articulate her way, even if the logic was flawed, but she was able to keep her poise, I was like, you know what? Sure, you can stay up an extra half hour and eat those cookies, because she was able to articulate her way. And I built that skill set. And about a year and a half ago, she kind of clocked it. She's like, Dad, thank you so much. She's like, I realized now that I'm at work and I'm having to talk to colleagues and stuff.
Nice.
But
Back-
yeah,
back
I
to-
wanted to like,
Back to the bully and the
Yeah.
boxing, because I know you told me a story about when you laid some people out, and I want to
man.
talk about that story.
man,
But I want to. When did you get in the boxing? How long you been doing it? How good were you? And then you can tell the story about when you were living off of Palm Beach, I think an apartment, and there were some Spanish people next door.
oh God, listen, that story.
And that was
that was
a beautiful story.
I am never the
love that
hero of my story. You know what's funny? I almost never share stories. My girlfriend and a couple of my friends, they always tease me because when you're hanging out with people, guys will like try to tell stories because they want to be the guy, and so they tell me I get customer service voice. I'm like, hey, so nice to meet you, Bob. I go up an octave. I go real smooth because I'm not here to compete. It's somebody I never met him before.
Right.
I don't need to feel like I'm the cool dude in the room. And it was funny because my best friend at the time, she goes, I believe every single story you tell me, Morgan, because you're never the hero. You just didn't die. But no, with boxing, I was good. Like I was boxing at 135 pounds.
Good.
As a grown man, and I was a phenomenal counterpuncher, and I'm 6 foot tall. So, and I have a 75.5-inch wingspan. So I was like E.T. I could just reach out and touch someone and phone home. And here's the problem, though. In the 90s, no one wrestled. Everyone threw hands. Okay. No one kicked. And so I was like, I would, just cause situations, because I was righteous. And if I felt righteously indignant, men hold their drinks in their dominant hand, and I don't like getting hit. People be like, "Oh, when I get hit, I see red and bodies hit the floor. I swell up and bleed. I don't like to get hit at all. I'm not one of them dudes." So when a guy holds their drink in their dominant hand, I'll use my words now, especially now at my age, I'm like, young man, this isn't going to end the way you think it's going to end. I encourage you to enjoy your night. Well, fuck you. Well, fine, F me then. And then, but I walk away. Everything's fine. But when they help move their hand from their dominant hand to their non-dominant, as soon as their hands touch, I just hit them because I don't want to get hit. And at this point now, and so, oh Lord, for the viewers at home, I'm sincerely sorry for the story that's about to happen. You're right. I think I was barely 21, 22 maybe. I was living in downtown East Fort Myers. I had the world's tiniest little efficiency, and I was right on the cusp of a good neighborhood and a not so good neighborhood. My rent was $200 a month, to let you know just like how this area was. I had Elizabeth, my super racist 81-year-old landlord, and part of my rent was, I need you to run off the undesirables that hang out on the parking lot at night.
Wow.
And I'm just like, why do you say undesirables? That's like, you just went hard R, didn't you? Like she was a, and it's funny because I had a buddy of mine who was black. He'd come over and hang out, and she would just say the most unhinged things, and he would eat it up. And I'm like, I'm being mortified. He's like, dude, she's like 90. Like, her social security number is like 12. He's like, what if I sneeze and break her hip? He's like, but I go home and I tell my family all sorts of amazing stories about Morgan's racist landlord. But anyway, so I had this little tiny efficiency. It was a 2-car garage that got renovated into the world's worst apartment, whatever. And then there was a house, and then a third house. In this third house, there was a lot. I would say probably about 12 to 15 Hispanics living in this house. You could tell like they're just migrant workers. Very very quiet, very pleasant, kept themselves. I got home from the night shift one day. Oh wait, and hold on, let me back up. Part of the running off the undesirables is we have an issue with like prostitutes that sometimes come hang out in the corner, and I'd just be out there, hey, go on, And there was one little scraggly haired one that I just yell at every now and then. And she cursed back, but she'd leave. Didn't think much about it. Okay, now fast forward. I come home from a night shift one time, working at the hospital as a CNA, and I'm getting ready to park, and two of the little Mexican ladies, they're walking back past me, and I know they were going to walk over to where the Tice Foodway was back when it existed, and they're severely pregnant. They're like, I don't know, she looked like she was 19 months pregnant. I mean, that baby came out, a year ago, and I'm like, senora, please, I don't know, man. I will el drivo you. Like what white people do when they don't speak Spanish. They just talk louder, slower, and add O to the word end of every word.
Yeah.
I will el drivo you o. And they're like, no. And I'm like, please. And you know me, I look like Doogie Howser. I was very non-threatening. They're like, okay. Take them up there. They go grocery shopping. I fall asleep in the car because I worked all night. They're tapping on, senor. I'm like, oh, sorry. I load up their groceries. Driving back to I drop the groceries off. From that point on, that whole house, they see me, hey, hola amigo. Like, they're like, because in East Fort Myers, it's not so much a race issue. Everyone just lives separate but equal. No one bothers anybody, but no one interacts. So me interacting, they were like, holy smokes. I got Screech from Saved by the Bell over here, being super friendly. Now, at the time, I was still, boxing locally at the Police Athletic League, and I still felt like I had great hands. Fast forward, okay, it's in the evening. It's like around 8-ish o'clock at night or so. It was like time change just happened, and it was getting dark. And that same scraggly haired prostitute was out there in the parking lot, because it was like my little apartment, a parking lot, and like a dental office, and like some other building. And I come out there, I'm like, hey, get out of here! What are you doing? We don't. She's like, oh, I knew you could be yelling at me. And then I don't realize it. There's this old brown Cadillac there. And this ginormous guy gets out of this Cadillac. And if there's ever a stereotype of a pimp, this guy has it all. He's got the brown like chino slacks with the Docker looking loafer whatevers. No, I think he was wearing Chuck Browns actually, and he had like the tank top on, and he's big. And in my mind, I'd never cared because like I had done very well, with laying hands in a very non-prayer way, and I just start jogging right towards him because he's like yelling at me, and I'm like, I jump, bop, hit him just clean right on the button. He goes, and just grabs me, and that was the first time I had felt like this huge whole wave of fear go through
Wow.
my body, because I have never, like, it's like, everybody's like, you wrestle with your friends, and then you suddenly get man grabbed. You're like, ah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and I let out the least manliest squeak ever, and I just saw him lean back. It was right, and I'm like, oh my god, and I realized I'm a counterpuncher, and I can't move because he's got me.
Yep.
He hits me right in my eye, and like, it's this explosion of colors, the universe, and he hit me so hard that he hit me out of his own grasp,
Wow.
and I fly back. I fall and I roll. I hit my head on the pavement too, I'm like, roll, and I immediately cannot see out of this eye.
Wow.
The swelling was so instantaneous, and I look and I see him like walking towards me, and I'm on my hands and knees, and I'm like, I should move because he's going to kick me, and I don't move, and I get kicked in the ribs, and like my lunch from August of 1978 flies out of my mouth, and I hear all this yelling from the migrant worker house, and suddenly like 8 guys are there. They're running out, and I don't know. They have like these like, little, it's like dowel rods, but they're like this big. They're like this. I don't know. I've never sat around with just dowel rods this size before in my house for some reason. I've never had this. And they run past me. They start savagely beating the pimp and the lady of the evening. They're just like bop 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 bop, and they're yelling and they're beating them savagely. And they're yelling. They're ah, la, 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 la. And I'm just, and I'm like, oh god, I was like curled up like the crone who gave Snow White the apple.
That's funny.
Like they stuffed him into the car. They start driving off, and they're coming to me. Hey, what's up? And one of the ladies brings me a pack of like frozen okra, and I knew it was frozen okra because I hate okra. I don't like the way it tastes. It's usually kind of slimy unless it's fried. And I'm holding the okra on my eye, and they're like, "He's okay. He's okay." Because that's what they knew, and I'm just like, ah. And that I had a Polaroid, because in my day we had Polaroids, of my eye for a while, and I lost the picture, but I wish I had it. It looked like two baby butt cheeks swollen together, but it was one of those moments where I was like, I should have been murdered.
Good thing you took those girls to the grocery store.
Oh my god, it's like my life has been, I've had little acts of just like randomness like that, but yeah, it's and it's good to be humbled. It's why I love jujitsu. It's like every man should have a basic martial skill. Okay, you need to have a basic. You can't burpee your way out of a problem usually, but I've noticed a lot of them. Boxing, Muay Thai. We don't talk about Aikido. That's like the Carlos Mencia of martial arts. Sorry for all you Aikido guys out there, but but with jujitsu and jiu-jitsu is uniquely ego-free most of the time. Just like I love wrestling. Wrestling is a great skill.
Yeah.
Wrestling, I understand, why there's the ego behind it, because you have to give your all every single time.
Yeah.
With jiu-jitsu, I can just kind of chill out and I pull somebody in guard. And with jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of fine nuances where, I'll be great with one guy, and then I still get caught in something.
Yeah.
But everyone, by and large, in jiu-jitsu and grappling, they're the nicest. They're Ned Flanders. They're like, I'm getting mauled by a Starbucks barista, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, let me show you what I just did right here. You put your arm here, because they want you to get better, because that's the only way they can get better." So
I found out. You and I've talked before.
oh, hold on. I'm gonna finish real quick. The biggest thing about wrestling, you and I talked about this. Everyone knows how to throw a basic punch or kick, okay? But knowing how to fold someone's clothes with them still in it, or helping somebody through involuntary yoga. And at our age, we really don't want to hit nobody no more. It's not really realistically. Some people do still deserve a high five in the face, but there's other ways to do it. But being able to just snuggle someone until they realize the error of their ways, and no one's having a lasting damage, is a big deal. And that's why I stick. And you can still do it. I don't want to get hit no more, but I'll still go wrestle, because it's fun, and it keeps you still feeling. It gives you that fire, reminding yourself that you're still a man at the end of the day. That's why I still I tell them, overall, for kids and adults, jiu-jitsu is still the best. Go ahead.
So you're doing jiu-jitsu at
Yeah,
51.
I still roll sometimes.
You're still doing 50 at 51. You and I had talked before. And a good point. Um, as men, husbands, fathers, protectors, caretakers, we ought to know how to handle our business, even if it's just a little combination. You ought to be able to know how to protect your wife, protect your children. Okay, you ought to know that. You ought to know that. And what I have found out is you can tell a guy that knows how to handle his business because he don't talk too loud, he don't posture too much. He's got that quiet confidence, and he's the one that's willing to walk away to de-escalate. You follow me? He's the one
Yeah,
that's
oh
willing
yeah,
to walk away,
oh yeah.
de-escalate. My I got a friend of mine. His name's Charlie. He's an old hippie. You're gonna meet him today because he's gonna come here and go to my birthday party. You're gonna ride with me. You're gonna meet him. Old hippie, 70 something years old,
I like that.
martial artist. He's got black belt in virtually everything. Just a
Nice.
awesome dude. You shake his hand, it's like concrete blocks. If he wears shorts, there's these lumps on his legs where he's been kicked. Like he's hard, but he's gentle. He got a soft spirit.
Yes.
And he recently lost his job, and I found out about it. I was like, man, we gotta figure something out. I love you, brother. We gotta take care of you. So he comes over once a week, teaches my girls martial arts.
I love that.
It's right up his wheelhouse. He's teaching them awareness. Put your phone away, self-awareness. He's teaching them how to handle business. He's like, hey, have you ever been thirsty in the middle of the night, went to go get a drink of water and stubbed your toe on the bedpost or something? The last thing you're thinking about is water now. He said, when somebody is going to try to attack you, they're thirsty, they're going to attack you. He said, a kick to the shins, there's virtually nothing there. A kick to the shins, well, it's like stubbing a toe. They ain't thinking about how thirsty they are anymore. So he said, just like real quick, like easy, applicable stuff.
Yes.
Kick somebody in the shins right off the bat. Boom. Be loud. And then he's also teaching them the other stuff.
Yeah.
So thankful for that kind of stuff. And it's not to be big and bad, but there's some bad people in this world, and there's people, and they need to be handled, taken care of, right?
Oh yeah. And the thing is, there's this weird mindset where people are like, oh, you think you can go beat up the world? No. But I want to be confident that I can, handle business in the unlikely event that I need to, and there's a balance between being able to use your words first,
Sure.
and like you said, confidence. I mean, there's a reason I run around. I'm super cheerful because I can choose not to be, and I am highly cognizant. I will never be a big guy. I mean, dude, I'm 51. I'm still waiting to finish puberty. I mean, right now I'm 183 pounds, and that's because that's my version of a bulking phase. I'm now starting to lift and lean out, and I'll drop back down to 175 if I'm lucky.
Good.
I think the average American male is like 205. What are you walking around in? What's your walking around weight?
I'm 205 when I'm lean, 215 when I'm heavy.
See, and so and the most playful, respectful of ways, size matters. It's it's all fun and games. Like my brother-in-law, great guy, 6'4", 270-pound Colombian guy, Juan. We'll roll sometimes. It's all fun and games till you have 270 pounds on top of you, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm a delicate flower now.
Yeah.
I feel so warm in your loving embrace. It's like, so, having to be reactive and knowing that, that's why I really like jiu-jitsu, because punching is an on-off switch. Either you hit someone or you don't.
Right.
Okay. And no one smaller than you will normally pick a fight with you. So knowing how to effectively close the distance and just,
Sure.
wrap someone up, big deal. People are like, oh, that doesn't work in the streets. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you talking about? You see so many fights. You watch YouTube nowadays. Somebody throws a 1-2 and somebody gets double legged and dumped on their head.
Yeah.
And then the other person just walks away. But yeah, I like what you said, because knowing how to handle it, but also handle it with your words first. Because I'm 51. I'm not. I look exciting online and in paper, but realistically, it's like I've got car payments, I've got bills, I've got 2 teenagers. I'm not that exciting anymore. And I'm okay with that. I just want to go home and yell at kids to get off my lawn, and I have an apartment.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Let's I'm gonna take a break. I drink a pot of coffee. I need to hit the bathroom.
Yeah.
When we come back, I want to talk about your time in the military a little bit. Obviously, we need to save some time for the American Ninja Warrior stuff.
Yeah.
And I also want to make sure we spend enough time with that accident you had and that whole change of life that you went through.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I want to make sure we save enough time for those. So let's hit those big 3, If there's other stuff that comes up in it, I'll feel free to share whatever you want, but let's make sure we save enough time for that.
Oh yeah, and you know me, I talk for days. However you edit, I don't care.
We don't edit.
Okay. Oh man, we're gonna have a 2 hour long cast. All right.
This part of the podcast is brought to you by Frequence. The product is Sync. Sync is my collagen and CBN. Collagen for skin, bone, tendon, muscle health. CBN for sleep support. Find the link in the bio. Now let's get back to the show. All right, brother, we're back from the break.
Oh, thank God. Listen, I bless the rains down in Africa. Like, I drink so much water.
You're I know you're in the military.
Yeah.
You showed me a video
Yeah.
of a much younger you holding a, I think, an 8-month-old baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you talk about what attracted you to the military that whole time in the military? It sounds like you became a father in the military. Can we just learn that about you this next little segment?
You know, I loved playing Army Man when I was a kid. I honestly never thought about really joining the Army until it was the start of the Gulf War. I was sweeping outside of a Publix in East Fort Myers.
Okay.
And we used to have a guy we called Mouse. He was a little retiree. He'd pull his little bicycle up and a yellow radio always strapped to the front of his bicycle. And it was always playing the news. And he would go through the trash cans and get the aluminum cans to recycle. And I was out there sweeping, and I'm listening to his radio in the background, and it stopped. It interrupted this song to announce the start of the Gulf War. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know. And something my father and I always did, which I always appreciated, is we'd watch the news together in the evenings.
Okay.
He would sit down and we'd just watch the news. And he'd be like, well, son, it's important to learn these things, you know, because like just if you don't know about the world, how can you live in it? And
That's
I was watching it, and I started watching all the conscientious objectors, and I'm no disparagement on them. You know, they all have their reasons, but I felt suddenly so unexpectedly ashamed for them. I felt shame for them because in my mind, you signed up for the military. You made an oath and a promise, and now you're like, oh wait, now you need to call me on that. I was just kidding, guys. I had my fingers crossed behind my back. And, you know, like I couldn't fathom at 17 years old how you would suddenly change your mind about something you had signed up for.
Wow.
And I couldn't stop wrestling with it in my head. And 3 days later, I asked my dad to take me to the recruiter, and I signed up on the spot.
So it wasn't a long thought process for you.
It was not. It was just some things for me. A lot of times, it just clicks, and suddenly I'm there.
Okay, so you signed up.
Went through basic. Went through they call it AIT, which is your advanced training. And I was enlisted for many years, and then I went National Guard, and then with National Guard, I had a choice to either exit or sign back up. So there I was. Remember when I said my stories are a little outlandish?
Let's go.
But I've got timestamps to back this up. There I was, September 10th,
Wow.
2001.
Oh, wow.
And I went home and I told my wife at the time, I said, hey, I'm going to go to officer school. I'm going to go be an officer in the Army. And I said, because there's nothing going on in the world. We're on a drawdown. Wow. This will be the easiest cake, you know, I can be an officer. I enlisted on September 10th, 2001. The very next day, you know, we had the tragedy of 9/11. And I had friends calling me like, oh my God, you're not gonna be. I thought they were messing with me. I'm like, man, I'm trying to study. I'm still in school. You know, quit bothering me with nonsense. Turn on the TV. And I'm like, well, crap. And of course, as soon as I finished officer candidate school, you have to go to officer basic school. Now, mind you, when I was enlisted, I was attached to an infantry unit. And there's nothing exciting about infantry. Like, it sounds cool on paper. They apply in your mandate, and you get there and you realize, all right, I'm hot and I'm itchy and I'm camping out here. Every single person I had to share a shelter half with, let me word this correctly, was a chronic self-toucher.
Okay.
So it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm in my sleeping bag. I'm trying to sleep in here. And I'm
Okay.
like, please no. But anyway, so I'm like, I'm going to pick the smartest sounding office air conditioningist officer job I could have. And I became a defensive chemical warfare specialist. That was 6 months of nuclear, biological, and chemical. So I'm hanging out with people who had those T86 calculators for fun.
Wow.
I got through that with brute force, pity, and the
Wow.
the pity of others and ignorance. So I'm thinking, fine, I made it. And then like, hey, we're sending you to Afghanistan. Oh, I'll get to that in a second. Uh, and I was like, okay, great. Finally I made it. And I said, okay, great. I thought I was going to be out. I get attached to a field artillery unit running infantry missions in Afghanistan.
Wow.
I'm like, man, this is some full circle BS. The most ironic part is I had been on the volunteer deploy list for almost 2 years. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
please send me anywhere. You know what? I believe in, because at the time I believed in the mission, and then and then my partner one day she's like, we were joking around. She switched jobs, so she was off medical and didn't have any medical insurance. And I said, well, just don't get pregnant. Ha 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 ha. So there we were 7 weeks later looking at a pregnancy test that was positive. And we're like, well, crap. Now, they called me. They said, hey, you're spun up. You're deployed. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I've been on the list for over a year and a half. I'm not about to leave my freshly pregnant,
Wow.
partner and my wife. And I resigned my commission. So I thought, because I was like, no, I tried. I'm not going to go play in the sandbox now because I'm not going to, have somebody be a solo parent. April 1st, I think it was like 2003, April 1st, 2003, they faxed my orders to my school, my very first year of teaching at Tice Elementary, the
Oh,
school my
wow.
dad taught at.
Wow.
They faxed the orders. And the lady who got the orders off the fax machine, she had been the library assistant there when I was a student there.
Wow.
She calls my room crying because, every man wants to answer the phone to a woman crying. And she's like, Morgan, the army, they're trying to send you away. And I'm like, come again, And I go upstairs and I look at it, and at the same time, my battalion XO calls me. My company, battalion XO calls me, and he's like, hey, Lieutenant Wright, you're spun up. You're deploying in 10 days. I'm like, sir, I resigned. He's like, something happened with your paperwork. It never got processed.
Wow.
He's like, they took you off payroll, but we still have me on the books as active. He's like, you can talk to the battalion commander when you get here about it if you want to. Well, now I had this hard thought. Okay, we had no medical insurance. Okay, and I kind of felt like people make jokes about it, but it felt like a sign. It's like we get our calling from him, from above at times, and for some reason it just felt real powerful. I'm like, I guess this is where I'm supposed to be.
Oh.
So I took it. It was only a 15-minute drive to get home. It felt like 15 hours.
Yeah.
I set the folder down. I go to the bathroom. I come back. She's already looking through the folder, and I can see the tears in her eyes. And I'm like, yeah, I had 10 days. And I said, but now you're gonna have armed TRICARE insurance. I said, and I said, and not for nothing. I said, I feel this is where I'm supposed to be.
Wow.
And then
Well, hey,
yeah,
if you felt that was called to be and you followed through with it, thank you for that.
yeah, that's how it
Because
felt.
that's like, if you feel a calling, the people that answer the call, I'm thankful for people that answer the call. So if you did feel that as a calling in real time, just from me to you, thank you for that.
Well, I
That you didn't
appreciate
that
that.
you didn't dodge it. That's
And I had every legal reason to do so.
yeah, I know you
And
did.
when I got to the camp, when I finally showed up for mobilization, and I talked to the battalion commander, I was given a job called nighttime battle captain, which
Hmm.
means you stay up all night and you just watch patrols and you do patrol documents. It's an important job, but it's a super boring one. It's not what I'm built for. And then I went to the battalion commander and I said, sir, respectfully, I said I want a better job, or I want to go home. And he's like, Lieutenant, you have 30 seconds to explain yourself before I. And then he explained a particular physical act that is unnatural between anybody, let alone two men. Uh, and I said, sir, okay. And I explained to him what happened and how they lost my resignation packet, but I felt a calling. I didn't know that he was religious at the time, and he got real quiet. And he goes, Lieutenant, you are 100% in the right. And he goes, I will make you. I'll make you an executive officer. You be the XO of one of the companies. Said, or I can help you process your paperwork. He's like, because you are in the right.
Mm.
And I go, thank you, sir. I took the XO job. Now, when you're XO, that means you're second in command, which the commander puts out a command, and the XO is the guy with the stick that goes behind and makes sure it's followed. No one likes the XO. You're the hatchet guy, and I'm used to being liked. So now I'm the hatchet man, and I'm going through, and I'm in the motor pool because people will turn in maintenance reports that I can tell are just crap. They didn't really look at the vehicle. I'm making sure stuff gets ordered. I'm making sure people are on their guard duties. I'm holding people accountable as a second lieutenant, and then I get pinned first lieutenant. And at that time, about a month later on, my company commander gets caught dyeing a girl's hair in our command hut. Now, first of all, who needs their roots done in Afghanistan? Now, they were married, just not to each other. And so he gets booted. Now I'm suddenly a first lieutenant in temporary company command. And I'm like, please no, I have no skill set for this right just yet. I kept everything together for about a month and a half. And then thank gosh, I got Captain Adams in, and I had a real close friend of mine, Jeremy Davis. He pinned full bird colonel on about a year ago. He's still in. They kept me sane and going, but it was a very unique experience seeing what a true scavenger nation is like.
Oh, wow.
I think it was Russia was in Afghanistan for a long time,
Yep.
and when they left, they were beaten so soundly. The old Russian USSR war model was if one tank would do it, we'll send 30.
Right.
And there's scrapyards of just hundreds of tanks, BMPs, troop carriers, artillery pieces, because it was cheaper to scrap them
Wow.
and drive on. And we're patrolling that, and it snows in Afghanistan. My Florida butt didn't know that. It's just when you realize how timeless it is, and what true human desperation
Wow.
is, it really hit me hard. So, there were some things that kind of really picked up on, and when I come home now, it's real hard for me to ever be stressed out because I've seen what the bottom of the barrel looks like for people having to really truly survive.
Wow, that's good. That's good. It helped you with your perspective. When things are hard from you, it's really not that hard. And that's a good point because when life gets hard for us, it's good for us to take a deep breath, try to get the big picture, try to get away from the microscope.
Yes.
That helps in those hardship times. Is when we get too close to it, we stress out about it. That's all, we obsess over it, we think about it. You don't really make good decisions then.
Anxiety is the most useless emotion people can have. You are literally borrowing stress from a fictional future.
Yes.
You are why focus on what could go wrong when you could focus on what could go right? It's like it's all about I'm confident. I worked on skill sets. I focus on, hey, most likely I'm gonna have a positive outcome with this, and then if a negative outcome happens, I'm like, it could have been worse.
So I feel like you were already, based on our conversation, your parents, the way you're raised, I feel like you already had a positive mindset.
Yeah.
Did that time in Afghanistan just crank it up another notch when you saw like a little broader scope of how people are living and where you live? Did it help? Did it help with that mindset? I think it probably did.
It did, and I learned a lot about myself, and I had some humbling moments. Even seeing how life was there for the average local, there were still days that I would spend just crying in my bed because I was watching my daughter grow up through AOL dial-up. I could get emailed pictures. I would take my little laptop. I missed her first steps. I missed her first words, and I felt incredibly selfish. Here I am watching, true human suffering, human struggle, human triumph. I remember my interpreter was a doctor. Our interpreter he was a doctor. He's like, I make 4 times my salary just talking with you guys.
Wow.
And he's like, one of the captains was like, well, hey, but what are you gonna do after this? And he's like, we just survive. He's like, I'm gonna make lots of money. He's like, you guys will still leave, but we'll all still be here.
Wow.
He's like, we'll just take over whatever you leave.
Wow.
And that's exactly what happened. So I had to battle my own realization of my own selfishness of wanting what I wanted, and still realizing that the people around me, they just wanted clean water. They wanted it to not be cold. Like there are no power grids in Afghanistan. Everything's run off generators
Wow.
because it's such a they scrap things. Um, we would lay down razor wire. They'd crawl up and they just cut it into pieces and take it home as scrap metal. And you know, it was and some soldiers had no mission. Like we were told to bring our generator repairmen and our cooks. Uh, and gotta have them. And we get there, like those jobs are being filled by Halliburton. You know,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we need them for tower duty. So like you're now telling a 20-year-old he's got to spend 12 hours in a tower on guard duty, and there wasn't a whole lot of missions in Afghanistan. I mean, like there's a couple of times I would work on trying to cancel some patrols, and I got called to carpet, and thankfully the battalion commander had a sense of humor. Because he was once again unnatural acts, my skull usually missing one eye, and I said, "Sir, it's -4 degrees. I have Florida drivers and overweighted gun trucks in a snowy mountaintop. Z Germans are not out there, sir."
Right.
And thankfully, he found that funny because it could have been taken as flippant. And he laughed and he said, "Get the F out of here, Lieutenant." But it was smooth, And but yeah, it was just a very you can't help but to see yourself in situations like that, and to see, like I was seeing, the good parts of me and the parts of me that I didn't want to admit existed. I felt shame,
Wow.
that I felt selfish, but I also felt
Hold on a minute.
right.
2 times you said you felt selfish.
Wanting to be
Why?
home with my baby,
Okay.
and even though and mean, like I knew that eventually I'd get home. It was just time. I just had to do the time and then make it home. It was 16 months, but and I'm watching real suffering. Like
I
we're
understand.
dropping off supplies to children's hospitals. I'm seeing kids that at one time I gave a kid, he had burns,
Mm.
and he was pretty disfigured. Gave him some shoes and some candy, and we're driving away, and in the rearview mirror of the Humvee, I'm watching two other kids just go and snatch it right out of his hands,
Oh.
and we can't turn around. It's like, and the kid, I made that kid happy, and the kid, you could tell the kid, he didn't even like fight back. He knew that was going to happen. That's why he didn't look so excited when we gave him stuff,
Oh.
and he shoved some of the candy in his mouth right away. Like, and when you realize that, like that's true suffering. I was just wanting time to pass faster.
Understood.
His time's not going to pass. That's his life every day.
Wow. That's got to be heartbreaking, though. We just talked about you and I are natural protectors, providers,
And knowing that you can't,
and then knowing you can't. That had to be hard on you
it
to watch.
it was a growth process, and what that does is, the it's not good or bad. It simply is.
That's
We
what
cannot
it is.
protect everyone, so what you do is you focus on the pond you're in.
Mm.
You throw the pebble in the pond, that rippling effect ripples out. That's why I go to teach PE every day, and I try to have the best attitude. I try to make the best case I can to send these kids home happy,
Mm.
because I know what's going on in their life. I've had many, surprisingly many students, like you said before. You've seen old students come back. I've held babies from my former students. I've helped kids get their GEDs. I've helped them sign up for college. I've helped them go to the military. I've buried two students. Because it's the fact that they remember their elementary school PE teacher and they reach back out to me for
Right.
advice years later is one of the greatest compliments I have ever felt in life. I feel like, at the end of the day, we want to know we made a difference,
Right.
and I want that difference to be positive. I'm creating that rippling effect in my pond as best I can. I have 1,100 kids every day,
Wow.
and so every year, I'm sending out another 150, 200 kids more out into the world to go just be a little bit better and a little bit stronger.
When you finished up your tour, your enlistment,
Yeah,
when you finished up and got home, what was that? What were those first few weeks like
it
for you?
was surreal. I was so rigid in everything that I did. Uh, you know, my wife she was very patient. She used her words a lot. You know, it wasn't, people talk about PTSD, throw it around, but it's not even that. It's just, you're so set up on a timeline of schedule and being rigid. like how you wanted to be with fitness at first. You're like, no, this is how it is.
Right.
And then for me to realize that, no, it's okay. I don't have to do the laundry on Tuesdays. If I do it on Monday or Wednesday, the world did not end. I didn't my whole schedule's not thrown off. It's being able to reassess and reassign values that are more realistic to day-to-day living. To not I didn't need to be hard. I didn't need to be firm. It was learning how to parent, because I was still a very fresh teacher then. I was still learning, even now, with my kids, if a stressful moment comes around, I'm like, hey, listen, I know this is stressful for you. It's stressful for me too. This is the first time, I've had to experience this situation with a child that's my child. So, and it's your first experience situating that's like, my son had a car accident, and he was shook up, and I was like, I don't know what to do. It's a financial burden, but I looked, I'm like, you're healthy, everyone's fine, no one's hurt. I said it's going to be okay, and we calmed it down. Big picture. But and I said, I'm nervous too. I said, I'm not upset, I'm nervous because this is the first time I've had to deal with this. I've never had a child have a car accident before.
Right.
And I said, here I am. I'm at 50, and I'm learning new things too. So it was, you find you still keep growing, and you still find ways to keep looking to make it a positive experience, even if a negative experience can still be a positive growth experience. And being able to learn that as a man in the world today is such a paramount skill.
The theme, again, none of this is planned, but you talked about mindset. You talk about having a positive attitude and think, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's going to be the worst case outcome. This seems to be a theme threaded through here because it's come across several times.
Yeah.
This is good for me personally because I always take things like if something hard happens, my mind automatically goes to everybody's dead. It automatically goes to worst case scenario.
Oh, yeah.
And it plays out scenarios. Like I'll lay awake and I'm playing out all these scenarios. And then in real life, none of those scenarios came to play. So I just wasted all this energy in things that never came to fruition. And at 49, 50 years old, I'm aware of it and learning how to shut that down. Quit trying to see where those are going to go in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time I've done it, none of them have happened. It's a waste of energy.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about now, I think, is important. We talked about, being where you're supposed to be, talk about what you're supposed to talk about. Maybe somebody needs to hear this.
It's big. It's big.
It's a big one.
Yeah. And as men, we do that. We think about the scenarios, the hypotheticals, and the possibilities because, we're the protectors. We're the ones that, okay, this is what we bring to the table. And we don't want to be caught on guard with a situation that we don't feel that we were equipped for, that, I should have thought of that. So the end of the day is kind of realizing that life is going to happen whether we think about it or not. And so I put things, I compartmentalize a lot. Like if there's something that could be an issue, but I can't address it right away, it goes in this little box because I can spend that energy on things that I can reach out and touch and put my hands on and work on. So being able to find a way to channel that energy positively. And now just because it's in a box does not mean it's forgotten. Okay. If a time frame comes up where I'm like, okay, now it's this moment, I can now address this. And I've learned too, the vast majority of the time, things tend to work out overall in a positive manner because I don't remember who said the quote. I don't remember who but it said, I'm a firm believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have. It's because look at, you sometimes talk about things like how you'll really overly focus, not obsess. Obsess has a negative connotation, but you have such a singular mindset. I see that to be a very good strength because I've seen what you've accomplished in your life. I mean, this studio, you built the studio. I never would have done this. I'd be like, this looks great. I just would have rented out space. Sure. Okay, but you're like, I can do this with my hands. I know I have the ability to do that. Okay, that's a very admirable quality. Many people in the world lack tenacity these days. I call it the 3-click rule. They look up something, if they can't find it within 3 clicks on the internet, it doesn't exist. Right. Dead to me. And we need people that don't do that. You're like, well, I didn't find the answer, so now I'm going to make the answer. That's you. You make the answer. And I'm the guy that just kind of floats in like Bugs Bunny. It's like, and that's okay because both skill sets are very necessary to bounce through the world. I learn from you, you learn from me. We pick up bits and pieces, and we learn to appreciate it.
What we talked about. You said you compartmentalize it. You put it in a box. It's there. My faith plays a big role in like the way I think and what shapes me. There's a verse that comes to mind that I cling to. Don't fret about the things of tomorrow. The things of tomorrow will take care of themselves.
Yep.
You got enough to worry about today.
Yep.
That's beautiful. That helps me. The other thing is there's a sovereign God. There's only one person I believe that has the whole thing in his hands, and that's God. And whenever I try to be God, I break. Like, I need to learn how to take care of my responsibilities, the ones for today, the ones for tomorrow. Maybe they're not mine to handle yet. And just putting those future responsibilities down.
Yeah.
Because I got enough to deal with today. It's comforting and it keeps things in perspective for me.
Yeah.
So,
and there's more than a few times that responsibility for tomorrow, we get up the next day, that responsibility no longer exists. Something else happened.
Good point.
So now you save yourself time by not spending time thinking about that.
Good point.
Because now it's a non-issue.
Good point. Can we transition to Ninja Warrior stuff?
Sure, man.
How did that come about?
Ninja Warrior came around. The show was popular at the time. My kids loved watching it, especially my daughter Jocelyn. And she was getting ready. She's like, "Oh, you got to be on this show. Daddy gave me this show." I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
How old was she?
9.
Okay.
And
she's 20 something now, right?
Yeah, she's just turned 20. She was 20. Yeah, for about back in the end of May.
Okay.
And she got real adamant about it. And she's like, "Dad, for my 10th birthday, I want you to apply for this TV show." Wow. And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Fine. So I look it up online, and the application process is very interesting. You have like 8 pages where you have to like type out how amazing you are, your accolades, and why you should be on the show, and then what your fitness backgrounds are, and then you also have to submit a 2 to 3 minute long video highlighting you, and you also have to be they also want to make sure that not only are you athletic, but are you TV friendly.
Understood.
At the end of the day, it's still a TV show. Otherwise, we'd all be destroyed by like 5'7" dudes named Tanner who are gymnasts in Ohio.
Understood.
But that said, I did it. I filmed a little video and had another future buddy of mine, Jeff. We got the video put together and sent it. I didn't think anything about it. Okay, and then I'm just sitting there.
When you sent the letter off and the video off,
yeah.
was your daughter excited?
Oh, she loved it. Like, she was thrilled about it. And I said, well, don't get your hopes up, baby. I mean, I'm an elementary school PE teacher down here in, Fort Myers, Florida. They probably can't find me on a map right now. And then, I'm sitting there, and just one day my phone rings, and I jump up, I'm like, hello, like, hey, it's American Ninja Warrior. I'm like, oh, okay. But then it gets real. Because, at the time, I was doing the obstacle course races,
oh, yeah.
competitive. I was running those competitively. Yeah. And I was a good runner, but I was great at the obstacles. Okay. So that's how I would end up getting podiums a lot, because I could beat obstacles faster than some of the other elites.
The obstacle races that you did, was that one reason why Jocelyn wanted you to do American Ninja Warrior? Because you were doing those?
Yeah, she saw those, and she's like, "Dad," well, she was running a couple of them with me at the time, and she was doing great herself.
Nice.
Like, she was destroying the kids' wave. A couple of times, she would snatch the gold medal in the 17 and under bracket as a 9-year-old or an 8-year-old, because she was a super fast runner. I mean, yeah, I think at 9 she put down a 23-minute 5K, and she was like, "Well, I could have tried harder." I'm like, but so
so they call,
and then I'm like, okay, well, now I'm really paying attention. So I drove up to the live fitness center and training center in St. Pete, because they're the closest thing that had ninja obstacles. They had a salmon ladder and a warped wall. Now, I learned firsthand that what you see on TV is nothing to seeing it in person. A 14.5-foot warped wall is 14 and a half feet, man. That thing was dang tall. It took me about 2 hours to build up the courage
Wow.
just to try it because I had concretes on both sides. So if you miss the lip,
Wow.
so, and then, and now on the other hand, things like the warped wall and the salmon
So
ladder.
hold on a
Yeah,
minute.
go ahead.
The warped wall.
Yeah.
You you get the call. Hey,
Mm.
you're gonna be on.
Mm-hmm.
Were you nervous? Were you excited? What were you feeling?
Uh,
A little
Pretty
bit of everything.
excited.
You're excited.
It's very rare that I get nervous about things.
That's what I
I
found.
love competing.
That's what I found out about you. Nothing really seems to bother you. You're
Yeah,
like, "Hey, let's go, let's go.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's such a. I mean, we work out every day. We train. Why train if you're not gonna
Use it.
test yourself? What's the old saying? A knight's armor, is great when it's polished, but it's not meant to stay that way.
Right.
It's I love competing. From boxing, from wrestling, from MMA to jiu-jitsu. It's like I've always been a super cheerful, happy competitor.
When you're standing for the first time on the bottom of that warped wall.
That's the first time I got nervous. I was
Okay.
like, I could really hurt myself with this.
Was there ever a thought in your mind that you couldn't be able to do it? Were you like, oh,
Oh,
I just
very.
I just made a mistake. You're like,
Oh,
all eyes
God,
are on
yeah.
me, and I'm not gonna be able to do this. Okay, so
I'm gonna wipe out on TV. Like I said, the entire world's gonna watch me die right here. I'm gonna fall and break 17 things. And
how long did it take you work practicing on that? Like, how long did it take you to get it?
over 90 minutes. It took me.
Ain't too bad.
It's
It's a workout.
yeah. You would think. But when you're somebody who's used to being able to, you're naturally good at obstacles.
Oh, got you.
Like I'm like I've never really been stuck at an obstacle. Like
Mm,
I got the salmon ladder within under a minute. I was able to figure out how to
Got
do the
it.
salmon ladder under a minute.
Got it.
So I got that, did the salmon ladder for a while, and then I did the salmon ladder first because I looked at the warp ball and I'm like, I'll get to that later.
Got it.
And then I got lucky because I was able to finally. I had two friends that were there. My buddy Jason, who's we used to compete against each other a lot of times in the obstacle course races. We're in the same category. He's a school teacher too, so just a great guy. We would. He was like, "I'll run behind you." He's like, "I'm gonna catch you if you fall and die." Okay, I have a safety net now. And when I finally got it, I mean, like that little it's like three steps. It's like you run, and then right when the wall curves, that's when you have a three, 1, 2, 3, and your whatever foot you push off for a basketball layup, that's your final push
Got it.
foot. Your other hand swings around in like a grappling hook, and you grab the lip.
Got it.
On the show, they have a small lip over the top, so they don't see it. You can cup that lip like a little panda. I'm a panda bear. You panda grip that thing, and you pull yourself up. And once I got it, I'm like, click. Now I got it every time.
Mm.
Unless I have like a bad run or a bad approach. The issue with the show too, not an issue, but a challenge is when you get there, you can see the obstacles. You can't touch anything. They give you one walkthrough. They'll walk you through as a group, and they have one person. They have demonstrators show you how each obstacle is can be done, and then they're like, "That's any questions? All right, that's it. See you tonight." They film this show. They start filming usually around 9 p.m. They do it at night because the lighting looks better. There's less ambient noise, and it's cooler. Every year I have never gotten on stage before midnight. I
Wow.
usually average around somewhere around 2 in the morning.
Wow.
Uh,
So
and
that's got to be a whole nother layer of.
man,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? That's got to be a whole nother layer of difficulty.
I like having a structured bedtime. Sleep is the number one thing that influences your health.
Got it.
So if I'm up awake at 2 in the morning, that means something exploded normally.
Gotcha.
Something's bad. It's Charlie in the trees. Like there's a problem going on. So and it's this balance too, because now you're hungry. You want to eat a little bit, but not enough, not too much.
Right.
You want to have some coffee, but not too much.
Right.
But the first season, I think I wiped out in the fourth obstacle, but I was surprisingly like I didn't get on stage till around 3 in the morning, and but I started walking up there. I'm wearing my little silly moose hat. So quick segue, I started wearing the moose hat when I was doing athletic competitions because I was a PE teacher, and I like wearing hats teaching kids because it makes it funny. They pay attention.
Sure.
But it was a very popular time for athletes to be the heel, the bad guy, to be a jerk, to talk trash. And I'm like, I can't talk trash, but also tell these kids to be good sports.
Oh,
So I started intentionally putting on the hat because, for one, fitness should be fun. Competing should be fun. Okay, competing is hard. I like winning. I hate losing.
mm,
But I've never once been a sore loser because if somebody beat me, I know they earned it and they deserve it.
good.
And I'm here to celebrate them now.
It's a good lesson.
And but my little moose hat went on the camera and on the big screen, and the crowd starts waking up. They start clapping and laughing, and I don't care if people laugh with me or at me, Keith.
Right.
I made them happier.
Good
It's
job.
like either way, they're not hurting my feelings. And hope and I made other people happy. But and then year after year, they kept coming back, and people started calling me Moose over and over again.
Yep.
I just put on, I put on the hat one time at the end of an obstacle course race, because I would always run a fun lap. The competitive lap, you already know this. Running for time is awful. There's nothing fun about
Yeah.
running competitively. Your whole soul hurts.
Yes.
So I would put a kilt on, and I would peel off my racing speedo. Not no, please, sorry for the visual. Racing like Spanx for what it is, Spanx
Right.
for men. But and then I just put on the moose hat and I'd run barefoot with my kilt and my moose hat on. But then I would help get people through the race.
Uh-huh.
I would cheer them on because you can't have an elite wave if you don't have all the people who buy the open waves.
Understood.
Because if they're not there supporting the race, my check for winning a race is going to be much smaller.
Understood.
So why wouldn't you? And it's fun seeing other people have fun
Mm.
and helping them accomplish.
It's within your wheelhouse. It's
Yeah.
what you do.
And they start calling me, hey, oh, you're that moose guy. You helped my mom, my sister, my brother,
Got
my
it.
kid through the obstacle. So it just became a thing. I started wearing the moose hat. I started wearing it to walk out for boxing, for jiu-jitsu matches, for obstacle races, for ninja. I just put the moose hat on because I would spread positivity, and that ended up making me a fan favorite. Even though I'm like really the world's okayest ninja.
Isn't that crazy that something as trivial as a hat would be like an iconic thing that people remember? That's
Yes,
crazy.
and
If you hadn't wore that, you would just been like
some
you'd been
guy.
lost in the crowd.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh,
Crazy.
here's another white guy on Ninja Warrior. It's oh, he looks tall and lanky. Like oh.
Wow.
But and the biggest thing I love about it is the amount of positivity that that it's brought. People look at that the whole moose thing and they get super excited about it. They're just
Yeah.
they're like man, like I love that I can give them that positive energy.
Mm.
But yeah, overall, I've been on the show 5 times, and as you know, I had Ninja. There was joke about wanting everyone has to have a sob story to get on the show, and I'm like I barf glitter, guys. I am positivity. So as you know, I had a heart attack 3.5 years ago, and I thought I was done, and I was able to, out of the blue, I started building myself back up. Ninja reached back out to me, and they're like, "Hey, we heard you're healthy again. You want to come
Let's-
back for a 5th time?" And
This is
that's why my last season, they had me. I was on a commercial like every 40 minutes on Nationwide, seeing me in the hospital bed.
yeah.
Not humbling at all. Really humbling.
Let's talk about that heart attack.
Yeah,
I think you were driving or something, weren't you?
dude, it was worse. So for me, you saw me. I was in pinnacle health.
Yes.
I mean, I was around 9% body fat. I was just everything was great. I was at the gym, and I wasn't feeling right. I remember talking to my dad. I don't remember the conversation. And apparently I told him, yeah, Dad, my left arm's feeling kind of weird. He's like, son, that's normally a heart thing. You should go get checked out. I'm like, nah, I got it's going to the gym. I'm at the gym. I remember I did a couple of squats and I'm like, something doesn't feel right. Now, I walked back to my car and I was like, I'm going to go to the VA and get this checked out. Now, I should have just had them call me an ambulance right now. But what happens is your brain stops functioning the way it should. My thought process became very disjointed, and I would just pick the first thought, and I was like, that's it. I drove myself to the VA. I don't remember driving. I am
Wow.
mortified by that because it was a 16-minute drive. I could have caused a
Right.
car accident. I could have caused death, mayhem, destruction. I remember getting to the VA, and I'm so used to doing the right thing. I'm like, I should just pull right up there and tell them I'm having a problem. I still parked my car in the lot and walked up to the nursing stand.
I think part of that is if you tell yourself okay, you're okay. You feel what I'm saying?
It is, but I knew
Like-
I wasn't. But I knew that I wasn't. I was
Yeah,
feeling weird.
you're feeling
I
weird.
was feeling it, and I felt like
But were you trying to tell yourself, "Hey, it's gonna be okay," and like kind of trying to talk yourself through it?
I
Because that's what I do.
I felt bad. I didn't want to inconvenience somebody by
Okay.
having them have to park my car,
Wow.
and I felt
So
like the corner of the vision like getting like fuzzy. And I
wow.
remember walking up to the nursing stand,
Wow.
and I looked at the nursing stand, and I saw them look at me, and I saw the look. Their faces were like, and I was like, oh, that's not good.
Mm.
And I said, I'm sorry. I think I'm having a heart attack though.
Wow.
I really apologize.
Wow.
And then the lady said, sit down. And I was like, I don't think I can. And I took a knee, and then I woke up in the back of an ambulance. And the guy's like, hey, you have about 3 to 5 minutes. I put some nitro under your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Call somebody.
Wow.
And so I'm trying. And I couldn't get my fingers to work right. So the paramedic did it for me. And, and of course, my wife, she's freaking out. She's like, okay, I'm on it. I'm like, okay, got it. I remember turning my phone off. I code. Okay, I go out. They had to use the AED shock machine and do CPR on me. But by now I'm unconscious. Okay, they got me stable,
Mm-hmm.
get me to Lee Memorial. I code again. They have to use the AED machine, CPR again, and then they run me to Health Park. Now, I was in a medically induced coma for 5 days. I was unfortunately very combative, and at the time I was in very good shape. Uh, I felt bad because like one of the nurses came and visited me later on, and she was shined up. I headbutted her,
Really?
and it was bad. It was bad, man. And I started crying, and she was just like, "No, no, it's okay. It's I was restrained. They had to put a intubation tube, and I remember at one point I kept
Mm.
because of my lean body fat, I kept breaking through the medication,
Wow.
and I remember chewing on the tube. Like I was like, I'm not happy. I was not happy. I was mad, and I never really get mad. And I remember, and there was like the huge bright light because you have the medical light, but in my mind it's like this huge shining light. And there was what I thought was an angel, but it was the same nurse I had headbutted.
Wow.
And I said, "Is this reality?"
Mm.
And she just said, "I am so sorry." And then they upped my meds. I'm back out.
Wow.
And then finally I come around. I had my life saved by a brand new medical device. So this heart attack happened because I had a genetic issue. Like one of my main arteries never quite fully developed, and I was supposed to have had this heart attack a little over a decade earlier, but fitness kept that from happening,
Mm.
and I made it so that technology had only been in the area for about 14 months.
Mm.
So because of fitness, I made it to a time where the technology was able to save my life. But the surgery, they cranked this arm back so hard, they tore my rotator cuff.
Oh wow.
I lost they had to take out one muscle strand, ligament of my pec, in order to shove the device in to get it. It's a straw that goes in my heart, in one of the main arteries, and it pumps the blood for you so your heart can. A heart's like any other muscle. It's going to recover better when it can rest.
Right.
So my heart got turned down to only having to do about 10% of the workload. So, but even then, when I woke up, my rotator cuff had gotten torn. I had muscle paralysis from my pectoral bicep, my forearm, and my hand. Like I did it completely useless. And the swelling was so bad, I was having blisters on my skin just so the water could release itself. And you know, and of course, one of the more humbling things is having a catheter put in.
Mm.
Like, I mean, you look down and you're like, oh, that's okay. I have tubes in and out of me now. But
So
that feeling of helplessness.
that's what I want to talk about just briefly.
Yeah.
So men find their identity in who they are, what they can do, the mark they make.
Mm-hmm.
You're describing something that's you're helpless.
Yeah.
So here you are. You've always seen the positive and everything. What were those emotions like laying in the hospital bed? Were you positive?
When they brought me
Did
out
you
of
lose your identity?
well,
Like,
it was
what
rough.
What were some of those emotions?
Well, my first emotion was honestly confusion because I remember I went from being in the back of an ambulance
Wow.
to waking up
Yeah.
and I hurt.
Yeah.
It was pain. when they tell you in CPR class that you might break some ribs, you might do this. Like, I didn't have any ribs broken, but because I'm fit, but I was sore.
Mm.
The rib bruises, if a lot of men out there know, if bruising a rib is almost worse than breaking or fracturing a rib,
Yeah.
because it's just the tenderness of it, plus my rotator cuff being torn, and the surgeon was just a phenomenal surgeon. His bedside manner, though, because he came out of the surgery finally and looked at my whole family was there. There's like 30, 25 people in the room waiting, and he goes, okay, the surgery was a success, but he went too long without oxygen. He will not be the man you think that you knew.
Mm.
Now the men in my family, my father, my uncle, they're like, okay, well, he's a grown adult, he's athletic, he's strong. If he's mentally incapable, we can't take care of him if he has a violent outburst. And I don't even violent, I had to be restrained when I was under. So now the whole family, they're all breaking down and crying, and they had to wait 5 days
Not knowing.
for not knowing. And then they brought me out of the coma. My partner, my wife comes in and she's like, "Does the wave?" And I'm like, "Hey, what am I doing here?"
Wow.
And so then everyone starts breaking down crying because they're like, "Okay, he's mentally okay," and I'm like, once again, I'm surrounded in a room with crying people. This is awkward. Why does everything hurt?
Uh-huh.
And it was such a foreign experience, not being able to move, being in constant pain.
Mm.
And I also learned that I don't do morphine well. I have morphine causes me to hallucinate. And also pain meds run through my system very quickly.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is too, when I hallucinate, I become irritable because I know it's not real. So I'm having these floating geometric shapes, trying to ooh, I'm here. And I'm like, you're not real. Yes, I am. I swear. And so now I'm irritable, and I'm trying to explain to whoever's in the room, like, yeah, there's floating shapes and squares and triangles, and I'm mad because I know they're not here. And
my son Thomas, when he was a kid, he fell and hit his head, and his brain swelled. He lost vision. My wife.
Yeah. When it's your kid. Yep.
My wife takes him to the hospital with all my kids. I was somewhere else. And I pull in the hospital. I hear my babies crying because my babies are crying. And I hear Thomas screaming. But he couldn't see. He was swelling in the brain. He couldn't see. And they gave him some medication. That medication made him, like you talked about, made him mad, agitated.
Yeah.
So he's agitated. In those doctors and nurses' mind, this kid's a brat.
Yeah.
And they're treating him like that. I hear him say, if my dad was here, you wouldn't be doing this to me. He had thrown up. Because he had a trauma.
Yeah.
The nurse got pissed off at him because he threw up. They were trying to put him in a thing, and he's... So I find him. Because I can hear him.
Yeah.
I find him. And I said, hands off. And I just laid on him. He's like, Dad. Yeah. And he's good. But now we found out he can't take certain medications either.
What a way to find out, though.
They had him strapped down. And he's fighting. If my dad was here, And then, but they mischaracterized this. This is just a little brat kid. I said, hey, this ain't no brat kid. Like, this is not who he is. But when I came in the room, and I wasn't mean to people, but I said, like, it changed.
Yeah.
But he was listening to you. Can you imagine being a 10-year-old kid, like what you're talking about, being bewildered, you can't see, like, where am I, all this kind of stuff like this, you know what I mean?
I mean, I can't
So
believe we held it
listen to you
together that
talking
well.
about it, I'm remembering.
Mm.
So anyway,
Yeah, no, I can't believe he handled it that well to begin with. At 10 years old, but and I'm really glad for what it's worth that you were able to go in there, and and I wasn't there. I agree the medical staff could have handled it differently. However, they call it medical practice
there you
because
go.
it's not a resolution. They're learning every day too. New things come out, and
At the end of
so
the day, they got a job to do. They're human beings,
yeah, and
and I'm
and
and I'm glad they're there to do that job.
but
Yeah,
every now and then, it costs nothing to be graceful.
yeah,
And it's like there are days too. I'm at work too. I'll snap at a kid. I'm human, and I see that I really hurt the kid's feelings, and I'm like, and I will apologize to that child
yeah.
because I will never trust an adult that thinks they do not have to apologize to a child if they do something wrong.
It's a good lesson.
That is, I mean, it goes back to thinking that you can't learn something from somebody younger than you.
Yeah,
If somebody has the hubris and the audacity to realize that they made an error but they like, nah, it's just a kid. I'm not gonna apologize to a
yeah.
kid. That person is dead to me.
Mm.
And now, let me take that back. I have given them the opportunity to succeed. I'm like, what should you say?
Right.
And if they take ownership of it, that's a growth moment.
Good job.
But there are very few things that will be a very finite thing for me. But that's a big one. Everyone always jokes, if you're mean to the serving staff, when you go out to eat,
Right.
stuff like that. But I think that I'm sorry that you had to go through that because nothing. You feel helpless. My boy, Jackson, he went to see the sandcastles getting built with my grandma, and then he came home. I was getting ready to go watch some of my friends do some amateur MMA, and he looked up at me. He goes, "Hey, Pop," and one of his eyes, the pupil, the actual, it was like massively dilated, and the other one wasn't.
Oh, and you
That
noticed
normally
it.
means, oh, it's not a tumor. No, that means it's a tumor.
Mm.
So suddenly I'm like, ah, run to the ER. I had to sit there and pet his leg. They'd put him in the MRI, but it's like the loud, super big, clanky
Right.
one. So I'm just sitting there. I got my hand on his leg, so you get the image. And we had it 45 minutes, it's like, and I've never felt so helpless,
Yeah.
so not near what you went through, but I understand that when you realize it's your child, and I'm sitting there like I'm, silently crying, but I'm trying not, I'm like, like you're crying, like, is everything's okay, buddy? And because you have to be there for them,
Yeah.
so I love that. And you handled that the right way. Just lay on him, hug him, let him know dad was there. Really proud of you, buddy.
I had forgotten that memory.
Why would you want to remember it? That's some traumatic stuff, bud.
But listen, you talk about being agitated. It made me remember. So I didn't mean to get off as a sidetrack.
No. Long story short, though, I mean, yeah, you're right. It sucked, and you saw with the build. It took me months to get feeling back and everything. I could do nothing fitness. All I could do was walk. So I started walking. I would walk 1,000 steps a day, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. All I could do was walk. And then when walking was enough, I bought a weight vest and I would walk with a weight vest. I couldn't put my hand on a wall and lean forward because everything was so painful. I couldn't do anything with this hand, or this. It was like limp. I had to get help. I needed to get help getting dressed, getting my shirt on for a hot minute, for a few months. I mean, and kudos to Lisa for being with me during that time, of our relationship, because she was just very stalwart, always there, and everything was always positive, and sometimes partners stay and go, but it's always important to honor them for and appreciate as those relationships bloomed. And she was authentically always, and we're still great friends. We're no longer together as a relationship, but we're still, very close. We communicate. We talk about our kids, talk about finances. We talk about life. It's just a wonderful, true, life friend and life partner. And she was there through that whole. Build myself back up, by the way, and then I pushed too hard. Heart starts getting weak again. I have to go in, spend a couple days. Okay,
Right.
and so I get knocked down again.
Slow down a minute.
Yeah.
Um, what was the timeline between? Okay, you had the heart attack. You got out of the hospital. You start by walking.
Year and a
Okay,
half.
a year and a half
About a year and a half later, I think I'm good, and then my heart has an issue again because I'm pushing too hard
because you're
with
pushing too
fitness.
hard. Did you? Okay, so let's talk about pushing too hard. Did you know you're pushing too hard, or did you feel like, hey, I need to catch up because I lost some gains? Like, did you? What was that? Did you know you're pushing too hard?
I I didn't think I was. My heart disagreed with me, and it turns out the heart that's the call, that's the shot maker, you know, that's the shot caller. Uh, and I thought I was doing good, and then I was like, I flat. I was like, I am not good.
Wow.
And then you know, this time though it wasn't this. I knew it wasn't the same. Okay, I knew it wasn't a heart attack, but something wasn't right. Go to the VA, and they're like, yeah, dude. They're like, you're going too hard,
Mm,
and it was, you're right. I felt like I had to catch up. You know, I'm like, no, I can't rest. You know, I'm so diminished now.
yeah.
So then I rested, and then I freaking did it again 4 months later.
What in the world, man? Are you hard headed?
Yeah. Hey, you know, I'm bright for some things. I'm not bright for others. There's a reason I teach PE, brother. It's and then finally
Well, hold on
I
a
found
minute.
a.
I'm gonna give you
Yeah.
your own advice. You told me, hey, when you get in the mindset that this is what you do the rest of your life, so why did you have to all cram it in a few months? Like, just go a little slow.
Because we're all only human,
I know.
you know, and
We're
you know
men.
how it goes.
We're men.
We're men, and
I'm feeling good, so let's just put a little more on.
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget. They think of you know, overloading the heart by doing too much cardio. Okay, and you know, when you put the extra 25-pound plate on, your heart's pumping harder because you're moving your muscles more. And what happened again 4 months later, no, it was I think it was actually about a year and 2 months when I had the first issue, and then and then about 4 months after that, and then I finally slowed down, built myself back up at a much more reasonable pace, and lo and behold, on my 50th birthday, I get a phone call from no, I got an email from Ninja Warrior, and they're like, hey, listen, we're doing an episode bringing back fan favorites. You know, any chance you want to come back? You know, and I'm like, well, yeah, I've been knocked down 3 times now. Heck yeah. Okay. You know, and then, you know, I felt good. My training was solid. Uh, and once again, you know, it was like, I was like, it had been 5 years since I got on that stage. And I was like, they're not going to remember me. It had been
Oh,
it had been 5 years.
it's been a 5 year gap
It
now.
had been a
Glad
5 year
you
gap.
said that because I'm not remembering that. So there's a 5 year
It was
gap.
a 5 year gap.
Wow.
And then I was supposed to go in season 14, but I tore a muscle and couldn't compete that year, so I had to sit that year out. So
Can I ask
then,
you a quick question
yeah,
before we lose track? When you had the heart surgery done
yeah.
and you got back to full health, did you notice a difference between, like, did you feel your heart wasn't operating correctly?
Yeah, I'm not. I will never be back at the same.
No, what I'm saying is your heart
Yeah.
wasn't working right.
Correct.
Now you have this thing.
Yeah, I have a stent in me now.
Did you feel a difference in your heart? Like, do you feel,
Yes, I do feel a difference. I feel like near the end, I was like, before the heart attack, I would be exercising and I'd be like, why am I so winded?
okay,
You know,
before.
yeah. Before I was like, I was getting winded when I shouldn't be winded.
And
Like
that,
it
and,
was starting. It was starting to have effect.
okay.
Remember at the very end when you and I would be working out over here and notice, and I started dropping
Oh,
off.
I
I was doing
remember
a
this.
little bit less without
Yes.
workouts, and you were like, "What's going on? Is my trainer getting lazy?" No, your trainer's heart was starting to fail.
Listen, don't put words in my mouth. I never said that. You get
No,
lazy.
I said that because
I
like
never
that's what
said
I would
that.
think. I would think if I have a trainer and I'm out working my trainer, because I loved coming here. I love competing against you when we were doing fitness, and then and I realized I was like, what's going on? But that's what took place. Like I realized
Wow.
my fitness was starting to like my cardio, my heart was getting too ramped up,
Got
and
it.
and when you do something long enough, you know I should. If I do 5 rounds on the heavy bag, and I'm suddenly getting tired of round 3,
Yeah.
when I do 5 rounds all the time, I should have clocked that better.
Got it.
But yeah,
So now you get the thing in.
yeah,
Is your heart rate back like to
it's getting better.
getting
It's called a
better.
refraction rate,
okay?
and normally the average person has around a 55% refraction rate. Okay,
Okay.
if you have a 70% refraction rate, you're considered a pinnacle of health.
Okay.
Okay, um, I was before around like 62, 63. Now I'm at like 51.
Okay.
And but before I was around 33.
Wow.
But when they were like put it in, so it was like, and I was still trying to push myself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Ninja's finally like, hey, they're like, gotcha. You finally have a sob story, Morgan. And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, it's not really a sob story because I didn't die.
Right.
But, I said, but I would love, if you'll let me talk about heart health, I'd love to come back.
Nice.
Now, and this is going to tie into something that you and I talk about at times. So I'm excited. I go back to the show. And it was just hit 4 a.m. I was like, nobody's going to remember who I am. It's been 5 years. Okay, I'm in the warm up pit, and the camera, the main camera zooms to my hat, and it goes in the jumbotron, and the whole crowd suddenly just erupts, and like all the ninjas are like I joke, I really am everyone's favorite uncle in that community because like I just, I'm so happy to be there, and I'm there to cheer on everybody, and I see the crowd, and I'm like, oh, and then I get on stage,
It hit you.
and it hits, man, and then I just broke down crying.
Good for you.
I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Because I never thought, I never thought I would, be there. I didn't think I'd be able to do fitness again for a while. And I'm sitting there and I see everybody cheering me on, and then top it off, I'm feeling good, and what got me is I felt strong. This was a course I should have been able to beat.
Yeah.
And I rushed the second obstacle, which is it's called the barrel log, and you have to grab the log and you hold onto it, and it goes down and then it drops a little bit and then goes down and drops again. I have a way of gripping things called the gable grip, where you fold your hands like this and grab that. Instead, I said, "Oh, let's grab the handles," and that was so imagine like me building my way all the way back up just to fail on the second obstacle. I have never failed any competition that early in my life, and I have over 1,000 competitions. I've got hundreds of medals from the podium. I only keep my podium medals, and you've seen my medals.
Right.
So then now I have to swallow that, and at first I was very bitter, and then which is very uncharacteristic for me.
Yes.
And I had to sit there and process it. And I got lucky. There's a ninja family in Tampa, the Bjerstrom family. They run Jungle Gym out of Tampa. They're the finest ninja gym in the state of Florida. And they were like, and the dad, Jason, he's like, hey, listen, I know how you're feeling right now. He's like, it's okay. He's like, remember, you got here.
Right.
And
Well, that's good advice.
it was. And sometimes we said we need to hear our own advice.
Yes.
And I didn't go back this last season. I'm thinking I may or may not apply for one more season, but also too, you get to a point where it's like, I've gone 5 times,
Right.
if I take up a slot, that could be a slot for some, younger athlete that really wants to have his first time on the show, so I go back and forth on that, and it doesn't define me. But, do I wish I could have ended on a better note? Yeah. I mean, I've made it to the Vegas finals before, so it's like, so wiping out, on the first qualifying run, it hurt my ego, but which I was surprised because normally I work hard on not having an ego on these things. So it gave me an opportunity to self-reflect and grow.
That was my next question. Has enough time gone by that reflecting back, you've grown somehow through failing the second obstacle? Like, you didn't complete the course, you didn't succeed, but did you grow in some way now that enough time's gone by? That was my next question.
Yeah. Ultimately speaking, I was able to get a really strong message off of heart health. We talked about that earlier. Guys were like, I'll get that checked later. And one day later doesn't come. You just drop dead. So me being able to, like I said, they had me on the commercial all week long. Every 40 minutes, people are like, hey, I saw you in hospital on TV. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm going to the show, bro. But being able to give a powerful message out there, for just heart health in general, but especially for males, I was like, that was ultimately what I realized, the right thing to do. That was, him giving me the platform to get out there and give that message.
Good.
Because men, we get locked in our routines and our rigidness, and we're too busy taking care of others that we forget to take care of ourselves.
This is what you just said I'm an example of that.
Yeah.
because you're just a year or so older than me. That happened to you. My parents are 17 years older than me.
Hmm.
So I'm just kind of watching them
Yeah.
and then trying to navigate some potholes that they may have possibly fell into. Like, okay, it's kind of, I feel like it's like this. At some point you got old. How did I get old? And then as you get old, you get a little ache and pain. And that's your new normal. And you just go on with it.
Yes.
So I'm watching my mom and dad just develop these aches and pains, not getting checked out, and just kind of go on with it. It's my new normal. And then with what happened to you, so I did the whole gambit, brother. I went and had everything checked out. I said, hey, here's where I'm at. I just want to make sure I'm good. I had everything checked out for my wife, for my children, like for my overall deal.
Love
And
that.
what it is it did take some work to hit the pause button on life, and it's work getting everything checked out, getting the blood work done, getting all the, they checked my lungs, my heart, they did all of it. But at the end of the day, I'm glad I did it. I'm good. There's no question marks. My cholesterol and all my good cholesterol, my arteries, that's all good. I know where I'm at right now.
Yes. Why will men maintenance their car on a
Uh,
schedule but not themselves?
why?
It's
It's
your
a good
body is your
question.
best piece of equipment you own.
Yeah.
But they're like, but look at this polish I put on my
You
car.
make a good point, because the better we take care of this thing, the better we can take care of others. The
Yes.
better the stronger, the longer I can be stronger, the longer I can be healthier, the more I can help the ones around me I love.
I have something really important that really ties into that. And it's going to sound very not used to what you and I do, but it's what I've learned. The order in which you pay things,
Hmm.
you have to pay yourself first, then you pay your profession, because money is the number one reason couples separate.
Hmm.
Finances. Then you pay your spouse, because that's your partner through life, and then you pay your children. I understand how that sounds. However, if you skip any of these steps, whatever is next, if I skip this step and go here, these next three, they get the less authentic version of me.
There you
And
go.
when I say pay yourself, I'm not saying go buy a motorcycle. Like
Hey, hey,
sometimes
hey,
I'll.
shh. Dude, I literally bought myself a motorcycle Monday.
You know what? You paid
Don't
yourself.
pick something else.
All right, all right.
Pick something real bad like a boat. Let's talk about, yeah.
Well, the happiest day, the two happiest days, when you buy the boat, when you sell the boat.
All right.
So when you buy a boat, but like you pay yourself within reason. And to be fair though, too, jokes aside, you also control your finances. You live below your needs and within your means. So you paid yourself first. Okay, then you pay your profession. So that way you know that you are authentically truly rich when you can pay your bills, buy groceries, and enjoy small things without having to check your bank account.
Yes.
I've looked at my bank account in about a month, because like I know that what I put in there, I usually try to look around once a month just to make sure that,
Sure.
I didn't have falsified charges. Okay. Then you pay your spouse, and because you want, that's your partner. That's your go-to ride or die, and then your children. Because now your children see that you're happy, that they know you're secure with your profession. They can look at your profession with pride. They see that you authentically love your partner. So, and now you're also saying like, and I love you guys. And they're like, life is beautiful.
I'm going to agree with you on this in a different version, because we just talked about this. I had a guy last week and we talked something like this. So, in paying yourself,
Yeah.
a lot of paying yourself is how you prepare for the day. How you prepare for the day. So, I make sure that first hour is for me and my alone time. I'm stretching. I'm watching the sun come up. I'm quiet. I'm praying. I'm not fixing everybody right now. I'm preparing myself for that hour, preparing myself, paying myself,
Yes.
so that out of that, I'm what I'm supposed to be to my wife, my employees, everybody that needs me. I need to be full. Because if you're at a deficit, you're walking around pissed off, like everybody's a problem. But when you're full, it's just an overflowing. You got to charge that battery in the morning. And like you said, that paying yourself, filling that thing up, quiet. Okay, people, what do you need?
I love
Let's
that.
get it.
And
It
now
goes
they're
along
getting
that
the
same.
best version of you.
It goes along with that same
Yes,
thought
it does.
process that you talked about.
No, that exactly goes along. You are preparing your day, and I think the morning ritual is such an important thing. I love that you started off with stretching. Men don't stretch; they do bench press and call it a day. Stop skipping leg day. I do legs 3 days a week to look like I skip leg day. My friends look at me like, Morgan, my wife would kill for legs like that. But they do. It kills me. But you pay yourself. And then now, whatever's next. And now we said, you start work. Now you're paying your profession. Okay? You're paying your spouse. You're paying your children. I love that, Keith.
So that's good.
The nice thing about the sunrises, too, it's the greatest line ever. Because, you whistle at the wife. They're like, oh, whatever. You've seen it 1,000 times. I've seen 1,000 sunsets. Doesn't mean I don't want to see one more.
That's it. Yeah. We're going to have to cut this loose because I got a birthday party to go to. I don't want to be late for.
Oh yeah,
You got 100.
I got the bladder of a small Chihuahua too because
You
I
gotta
teach
go?
PE. Oh yeah, I teach PE. I don't have to have a teacher bladder. I have a bathroom out there. I'm like, woo, I'm
We
making
got
it rain.
We got 160 people at the ranch waiting on me.
Oh my God, that's
Are you
right.
coming?
I think so. I want to bring Chris. I want to bring my girl
yeah,
and hang out. I think so. I gotta
please
get
do.
home. Walk. She moved over the weekend.
Good.
So y'all are getting a lot of personal talk.
No,
off.
I'd
We'll
like to,
cut
I'd
this
like to
part out,
meet her.
don't worry.
No, we're leaving
No,
it.
I'm
I'd like to
messing
meet
with
her.
But
Well,
I
Morgan,
would like to though.
Morgan, thank you for your time. I know you weren't feeling well this morning.
Man, it's a boulevard, dude. This. All right. So I love children, but I lost a lot of my hearing in Afghanistan. And this one kid, he looks just like Drew Carey. Okay. Special needs kid. He's just adorable, and he talks, and I couldn't quite hear him. I've been like, hey, what's that, buddy? And he bark sneezed into my mouth and eyeballs. And I'm like, "Hup." And I sealed in his Ebola virus juices, like the dengue fever. And then I was like, all right, maybe I'm good. When I was missing a ton of students on Friday.
Yeah.
Because they were all out with the plague. And I'm like, I got this. And then today I woke up and I'm like, I sound like a 68-year-old chain smoker for the first 30 minutes.
No, you don't.
I'm, trying to, and then it was like, then you try to get your fitness in, and you're like, your body's like, listen, you really need to rest. I'm like, just one more set. Let me not take my own advice.
Before we go, let's leave. We talked about a lot of stuff, but what final thought would you want to leave somebody who's listening to this podcast with the journey that you've been on at 51 years old, where you're sitting at in life right now? You've had some up and downs. You had some major things happen to you. With your perspective, like somebody who's in the middle of right now, what would you speak to someone who's could be struggling a little bit?
I would say unplug. At the end of the day, I've seen a lot of friendships right now, especially lately with the climate, political climate. People they're losing friendships. They're saying things that they mean in the moment, but not truly. Focus on your core beliefs. Okay, I know that you and I have a lot of beliefs that we share similar, and a lot of beliefs that we have wildly different viewpoints. However, I look at you and I know that you're always going to do the right thing. Okay. We do not need to have the same belief cycle. I don't need to conform or convince somebody. I need to know that at the end of the day, you're a good man. And I believe that with my soul. And people take it like they need to be right. I don't want to. It's more important for me to be correct. If I'm confidently wrong on something, I want to be surrounded by people who will tell me. Okay, if I'm wrong, I want to know the right answer. Okay, I don't have an ego for these things, but taking the time just as for men out there, pay yourself. Look at what you can do to invest in yourself. We invest in our 401ks, our 403bs, our cars, our clothes, but they don't invest in their health. They don't invest in their attitude. They don't invest in just being a genuinely good human. Like, there are influencers out there that like try to go with this overly manly thing. That if you have to tell people you're an alpha, are you? Like, guys, I swear, I see red and bodies hit the floor. Shut the door, sir.
Yeah.
Like, just be an authentically good human, and you don't have to put on a show. Men are so worried about appearances. We talk a lot about women. They got their halos and makeup's done, this and that. Guys, they can't talk about it at all. Find a friend. Find those guy tribes. I tell a lot of guys, go to jiu-jitsu. That's where you get your authentic guy tribe to be with. But first of all, never stop trying to discover and rediscover and rebrand yourself. Like we said earlier, the Moose doesn't brand me. It doesn't, it's not me. It's not my thing. It's a part of what I do. And I use it as a tool to help others be happy. Find your own happiness.
That was good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, buddy.
something that you had said was you and we think differently. We don't agree on a lot of things, but I still love you, brother.
I love the conversations. Yeah.
And you don't have to, like, everybody doesn't have to align with your way of thinking to be friends.
And there have been things that you've given me a different way to look at. You know, like when I change your perception on fitness, there's things that, we've talked about in society and work ethics and looking the way I'll see the way you do some of your projects. And I'm like, huh. Like you bring me outside of my circle of thought where I thought I was more free with my thinking, and then you'll come up with something like I said, you building a podcast. I'm like, what are you doing building a podcast?
Yeah.
And then you do it, and I'm like, dang, he did it good. And I'm like, and I love that because like it's a thought process I wouldn't have had. You have beliefs that I wouldn't have thought about, but then you explain your reason behind it. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
You and I have had a lot of good conversations, and you've left room. You've been gracious with me to have my own way of thinking. I've been gracious with you to have your own way of thinking. At the end of the day, you love your family. I love my family. You trying to be a man to protect, support, and love, and I'm the same way. We have that connection, and the other stuff really doesn't matter.
And I know that if you called me or I called you, hey, I have a problem. I'm happy that you called me.
Yes, sir.
I look forward. I look forward to being helpful. It's not like, what do you need? Yeah. It's like, because I have a good man reaching out, or if I'm calling you, like I talked about, we had a mutual friend. I'm like, hey, this person's down in his luck, and you're like, heard on my radar, and the true mark of a friendship, Keith, which I really appreciate that we've had, is being able to have awkward conversations where we know we have different viewpoints, but I would never think to be offended by anything you could say, because our nature is we're not going to say things that are inherently offensive. It doesn't exist. So if I said something or you say something that could be clocked one of two ways, we automatically know it's not that other way.
There you go.
And that is the true benefit of male
heart,
friendship.
Yes. Character. I got you.
Yes. Yeah. And men let their male friendships go away. And I didn't want to. My male friendships dwindled down a lot just because of how men unfortunately choose to be, because they went with how society told them they had to be. And that's bull. The least manly thing you can do is succumb to society's beliefs because you feel like you have to, instead of being your own authentic man. I love being me. It's like, there are parts of me I could do better, and I clock that and I work on it. But at the end of the day, I wake up happy and I go to bed happy. Man, I need to drink less coffee, I can tell you that much. I'm floating through this chair right now.
Let's get out of here.
All right.
Brother. Appreciate you.
Hey, y'all have a great night.